Welcome to the Tea Hut, the podcast for unorthodox entrepreneurs striving for success by going against the grain, breaking down barriers beyond the biscuit tin, revealing what property professionals and construction workers really talk about on their tea breaks. Join us as we delve deep to uncover what it takes to succeed and be the best version of yourself.
So welcome to the Tea Hut podcast, breaking down the barriers that go beyond the biscuit tin, finding out and unraveling what it really takes to be successful and go against the grain and make something of yourself. And today I'm really delighted to have the two guests that I've got in today, Carl and Carla. I won't say too much, because at the end of the day, I don't know too much about your story yet. We just digressed into it a little bit. I'd like you two just to introduce yourselves to me, to the Tea Hut audience. Let me know your names, a little bit about your backgrounds and what you get up to in your spare time. And then we'll go from there.
So, my name's Carl. I'm from Hastings, but I'm originally from Nottingham.
Nice.
Background, Jesus. Dragged up as a kid. Didn't really live the best life growing up. Spare time, really. I spending time with family and the kids. Going to the gym if I've got time. If I feel motivated to do so, I'll go to the gym. But yeah, nothing much really exciting on that part.
What about you, Carla?
My name's Carla. I'm from Hastings. I've always lived in Hastings and still live there now. In my spare time, I don't really have much spare time, to be honest. If I do get a little hour to myself, I like going off to the gym or just sitting and chilling out, maybe get my eyelashes done. That's about it, really. Growing up, I had quite a good life growing up. I had my mum and dad together. I had a lot of problems myself. I think my anxiety started really, really young. I had a few problems, issues with food. I've always been quite underweight and that was it, really.
Yeah, so how long have you guys been together as a couple?
Nearly 10 years now.
10 years.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, 10 years.
A long time.
Yeah, a long time.
You looked at each other in shock then,
I
as if to say, fuck me, 10 years.
Oh, God.
Has it been hard?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, it hasn't been easy, and I think...
Nothing worth it ever is.
No, I know.
It's
it's I think, to be fair, as a partner, you couldn't really ask for better as a partner.
In you or her? You talking about yourself?
Oh, my God. Imagine.
I mean, just.
I think he wants to, but...
Yeah.
No, but like from her point of view,
Yeah.
you can't really ask for any better.
Yeah.
As a partner, it was just me that was.
How did you guys meet?
Well.
Oh, that is one hell of a story.
Go on. Do you want to tell it?
Yeah, so I was in a very bad relationship with somebody who turned out to be someone that you knew, wasn't it? At this moment in time, Carl was in prison.
Okay.
I don't know him, never met him.
Yeah.
He was from an area that I had an ex-partner from. So I'd seen him about a couple of times, but didn't really know anything, didn't even know his name or anything. But he was in prison at this time, and I was in this relationship with this boy that I'd been with for about 9 months.
Right.
Couldn't get away from him. He wasn't very nice.
Abusive?
Things got quite... He was mentally...
Not physically?
Physically as well,
yes.
Yes, it was both. It was a really bad relationship. He always said... I tried to get away from him. I tried to split up with him, and he would never leave. He wouldn't leave it was my flat. He would never leave my flat. Wouldn't give me my key back.
Nice.
Just wouldn't leave me. Kept on saying that if I'd split up with him, he'd go and tell people I cheated on.
Manipulative, controlling.
Yeah. And I've never cheated on a boy in my life, so like having something like that said about me, like I just worried what people would think of me.
How long did that take to come out in that relationship?
Well, this is what happened. So Carl comes out of prison. So this boy that I was with, he used to go and... Do you want to say that bit?
He used to sell drugs for me.
Yeah.
This was before I met him. It was before you went to prison, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So then he always said to me that he'd got this friend that was in prison and he hadn't got any way of getting home. Like, because I drove, he was like, "Can you come and like with me and pick him up?" I'd promised him from day one that I'd take him and pick him up.
Yeah.
I took him one day on a visit. He asked me if I wanted to go into the visit. So this ex-partner of mine was visiting Carl, and he asked me if I wanted to go in, and I said, "Oh, no, I don't know him. Like, it's not really my thing. I don't really want to go into the prison."
Yeah.
So I waited outside, and I remember on the drive home, he was absolutely nuts. He was trying to yank my handbrake up, telling me that to drop him off to the woods so he could go in the woods and hang himself. Like he was not all there. So anyway, so then it wasn't long till you come out of prison, was it? And then as soon as he come out, we went and picked him up. At this moment in time, I'm not in this relationship. I've split up with him, but he wouldn't leave me. So I've gone and picked Cole up for him. And then after that, he kept inviting Cole round to my flat. There was this one occasion that I had my friend round and we was going out on a night out, and then Cole turned up and this ex had invited him round. And then we all had a couple of drinks, and then I went down to town with my friend, and then you went downtown with him, didn't you? And he come straight up to me and started getting in my face saying, I've seen you dance with boys, like just going absolutely crazy at me. And then you went home, didn't you? No, what happened?
We got a taxi back to yours.
Yeah, so he then followed me and he was grabbing me and he was in my face, like just going nuts and saying that he wasn't going to go back to my flat, and that was it. And I thought, great. Yeah. So I stayed out with my friend, and then later on that night, I ended up going back to my flat. And as I went to put the key in the door, he was there. So then I've gone back in anyway, and I've tried to go to bed, and then he's just going absolutely mad at me. And this is the first time he's acting like this. And Cole was in, I didn't know at the time, but Cole was in the flat as well. He was on the sofa. He'd got nowhere to stay, so he was staying in my flat because this ex of mine had said he could stay there.
Well, I did. I had somewhere to stay. I was on licence.
Okay.
So I wasn't supposed to not be at my licence address, so I had to basically just stay under wraps. So everything that was going on in town that night...
Stay out of it.
I had to get out of that place quickly because if I'd have been pulled by the police, I'd have gone back to jail because I'd only just got back out for being recalled for a month for not being at my right address in the first place.
You'd have been straight back.
I'd have been back in again, So
And then what happened? You can carry on.
Oh, so from then on, I just heard loads of ranting and raving going on in the house, and it's really difficult when you're in that situation and someone's having domestics and stuff. And
you're like, oh fucking hell, what am I getting into here?
Yeah, I don't want to get involved. And I was laid down, and it just felt really awkward at that time. And she came in a couple of times, and then like going back in, and then it was just the final occasion that I thought, no, I can't have this. Right? It's not on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've gone in the bedroom, and he was literally he'd had the pillow over her face, and he was knelt down on her arm so she couldn't move.
Really?
So I was like, I got him off of her. You know? So it was just like, what the fuck are you doing, mate? Like what is this? So anyway, I've gone back in. I said, you touch her again, I'm gonna kill you. So I've gone back into the living room. When I've come back into the living room, all of a sudden she's come shooting back into the living room and like jumped on the sofa. Yeah. He's come running back in. There was a bit of ranting and raving that was going on at that point, and then he was like stood up, and I think that was the point where she then started to stick up for herself, because the fact is he wouldn't have done anything in my face.
Do you think maybe that's because he had just shown you a little bit of like, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. And obviously I knew that I couldn't say anything to people beforehand because he would make me out to be a liar.
So, but he's seen it then,
yeah, so he saw it with his own eyes. He saw like when I was running into the front room to try and get away from him, he was coming and grabbing me and picking me up and dragging me back through, and I'm holding onto the door frames, and he's pulling me back to the bedroom and trying to throw me down on the bed. And in the end, when I did manage to get into the front room, I think for like the third time, and rather than him dragging me back, he's come over and he's tried to get me, and I've said to him, get off me, I'm going to hit you.
Yeah.
And he was like, go on then. So I punched him in the face, and I think he was in shock when it was the first time that all my frustration...
stood up for yourself.
Yeah.
Well, he looked at me and I was like, don't touch her.
Yeah, don't touch her.
Yeah, so then he just went off the rails. He went to the kitchen drawer, he got a knife out, and then he started stabbing himself in the stomach with it, slicing his stomach up. And then I was just stood there, didn't really know what to do. Because I knew what he was capable of. And then Cole got up to try to stop him, and he tried to stab him in the neck.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so Cole moved out of the way, and then during that time, they're both staring at each other, then he's thrown the knife down on the floor, and then you rang an ambulance, didn't you? And then the ambulance turned up, and the police and that turned up, and then they took him.
Yeah.
And he left the key behind.
Yeah.
That was the last time he ever come into my flat.
Really?
Yeah, so that was he was gone. So then his sister come down, and his sister's boyfriend, they was at the door, and like they was talking to me. By this time, he'd obviously been taken off. I think he ended up getting sectioned. But
like it sounds like he needed it.
Yeah, and then I come back in. I like Cole. I just didn't like him. There was something about him that I didn't like. I thought he was just a bit of an idiot. And I come back into my flat, and he was on his hands and knees cleaning up all the blood. Because what had happened after he'd stabbed himself, he started following. I went into the bedroom, and he started following me all around the flat, and he was touching me. He'd got blood all on him, blood all on me. He was touching the walls, like where he was dripping all of the blood on the floor. And it's obviously, you know what a kitchen lino's like. He's treading in it. It's
everywhere,
like a murder scene. It was really disgusting. And I've come back in. And he's on his hands and knees on the floor cleaning up all the blood, and by well, I was a single mum at that moment in time. My son was staying at my mum's. I'd had my son really young, and I'd never really had any help from anybody, like just seeing him on the floor on his hands and knees, and then after that, he stayed that night, didn't you? And I remember we sat and had a conversation, and he listened to everything that I said and was like, I can't believe this is, how long has this been going on for? And I, for the first time, was able to speak about it all. And then I remember that night I went and stayed in my room, and I was terrified because I'm the sort of person that I thought he was. I thought he would end up trying to come into my room.
Yeah.
And I remember hardly getting any sleep because I was there like laid awake for most of the night worrying, and he didn't come in there, and I thought, okay. And then in the morning I went into the front room and he was still on the sofa. And then we just had a massive conversation, didn't we? And then he said, I don't really want to, what should I do? Should I come back like later tonight? Like, I don't really want to leave you here on your own. And you did it, didn't you? You ended up coming and staying on a few occasions, again, on the sofa. And then I started to see a different side to him, and we started having like really in-depth conversations. And it was good that he was there, because a lot of the times my ex-partner did end up turning up at the house and trying to get in and stuff. And it weren't half as bad, because obviously I knew I had someone else in the house with me.
Yeah.
And then it sort of like went on from there, didn't it?
Yeah. 10 years later.
Did he leave you alone then eventually?
No.
No.
Didn't leave. Oh, the ex.
Yeah. Oh, no, not him. Obviously, he did. He's still here.
Yeah, he did in the end.
Yeah.
He did. It took a while, didn't it?
Yeah.
It did take a long time. But
this going back to like how it was like, you know, being a good partner, and then obviously my mindset, I was still criminal.
Yeah.
Like that was my head, wasn't it? Like I was still, that was me. I still wanted to be a criminal. I wanted to make money.
Yeah.
How am I going to do it? Like go back to the life that I already knew, what I went to jail for in the first place.
Where did this all start for you? I mean, like, let's roll it right back. I mean, where did all this start for you? Like, have you always been this way? Were you born into this sort of lifestyle? How did you grow up? What was your childhood like?
I wouldn't say I was born into it.
Yeah.
My mum had me really early, like 16. I think.
Yeah, mine was 14.
Yeah. So, and she wasn't very maternal at that point. Like she hadn't grown up herself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a talk that was supposed to happen where I was going to be adopted by an uncle, but my granddad didn't allow it. So he was like, "No, we'll do it. We'll bring you up. Like you will help, etc., etc."
Yeah.
And she wasn't supposed to get back with my dad, but she ended up getting back with him.
Yeah.
And then it was from then on really that like things just didn't go too well as a child. So you know, my dad was quite violent to my mum and to myself. I've been left in rooms and bedrooms on my own for like 9-10 hours at a time at like 2 years old. You know, that's quite young.
Yeah.
But with my mum, she was like, you know, once that had happened, my dad set fire to someone's house with my uncle, and he ended up getting 5 years. And this guy, there was a story going around that this guy was doing the unforeseen to children. So
really,
so my dad and uncle took it by themselves and set his house on fire.
Yeah.
So that was a starting point, I think, for my mum to get away from him.
Yeah.
So, but then, you know, she was in and out of relationships. Like, she was with one person and she'd be with another, etc.
And you're obviously watching all this growing up, like,
Yeah.
thinking that's, you know,
Yeah.
normal to an extent.
Yeah.
You do, though, don't you?
Yeah.
You do.
It was, I don't, because it was the life that I was having, it was just the norm.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When you grow up around things like that, I mean, I did, crime and, you know, that was just normal. Like, my whole family were up to bits like that. You know, my nan done 12 years in Holloway. Yeah. And I'll take me out of two. I'm not saying they're bad people, but do you know what I mean? Like, I sort of got forced into that lifestyle. You said you're not born into it, but you technically are, because you're born into a shitstorm, aren't you?
Yeah, and I think that's...
And your mum sounds a bit similar to mine. My mum was young, your mum was young, immature. My mum did the best she could. Luckily for me, my grandparents really helped, and they still fucking do, to be honest. I think when you're truly a product of your environment, when you're just forced into that shit at a young age. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
My parents was like, everything with my family have always revolved around pubs. So pubs and drinking.
Yeah.
They're all musical. You've seen it for yourself, haven't you? Like when I take her up to Nottingham and we go and see my family, like it's all pubs. Like I'll do karaoke and going to this pub, and like my uncle's doing karaoke here or there, and my auntie wants to go there. And before my mum passed away, it was all the same thing. You know, we go up, we go out, we'll go for a drink, or you can have a drink.
You all a close family?
Nah.
Disjointed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My family is weird.
Yeah.
Like, it is a
Yeah,
weird
mine's
family.
weird.
Like, I probably won't speak to my family for, let's say, 6 months.
Yeah.
And then I'll phone one of them up, and it's like I have not been speaking to them.
Yeah.
So it's just like that.
Yeah,
and it's always, I mean, I was always the black sheep of the family. So my behaviour was bad. Like, I was quite bad. But I think it's, like we say with even our own children. So if your child's misbehaving, at least they're getting some sort of attention. That's the same with our child, isn't it? Like with Tyler, if he's being bad,
he does anything. It doesn't matter to him if it's good behaviour or bad behaviour. He'll do anything just for a conversation, won't he? Even though he does get it for positive stuff, but it's like he'll even if he's had it for a positive situation, within 5 minutes he'll do something bad just to get another bit of attention.
And I think that's what I was doing as a kid. So I'd be doing stupid things, like literally stupid things. But because we was being passed around here and there and everywhere, like I had some abuse go on as a child. That went on for about 3 years with a family member as well. So there was that had happened, and then
physical.
Yeah. But I didn't speak about that for a long time, apart from when it came out.
Yeah.
When my mum originally asked me about it, because he'd been doing it with someone else's kid as well.
Oh, and that's how it come to light.
That's how it come to light. Yeah. So I then outed it and said, yeah, that happened, etc., etc. My case didn't get heard. They didn't believe my story, even though it was fact and not even a story. But they just went ahead and
you weren't heard.
Nah, not at all, nah. So, after going through all that and then having to speak about it and bring it all back up again for stuff that's happened for like a number of years, I didn't even want to think about it. So it's, you look at it at that point, and I was very confused as to, like, no offense to people that are like the same sex, but I was questioning myself at that age. Like, why is that stuff happening to me? Like, does that make
How
me...
old were you at that point?
When you 13 when it come out.
Yeah, that's a fucking hard age to have them questions running around in your head.
It was mad. And obviously I didn't think that I was like I was into men. Like,
I get, mate. I totally.
It was
understand.
like I was just very confused, but that confusion made me very angry.
Yeah.
So my anger got portrayed in different ways. And it was portrayed outside on the street. Yeah. So the people that I'd hang around with was always the older lads. I didn't really like chilling with the younger kids.
Yeah, I was the same.
I didn't like younger kids. The older kids was the ones I'd wanted to be around.
Yeah.
So I started boxing, got involved in a youth club there, and there was obviously a load of older kids that was in the boxing clubs and in the youth clubs, and I just seemed to draw myself closer to them, and that's where the crime and the street life basically started, and it took me away from my house. Yeah. So I didn't want to be in my house.
Yeah.
I didn't feel any love in there. And was that because of me? Was that because of my behaviour, the way that I was behaving? Was I pulling myself away from my family? Or was it a bit of 50-50?
Is this something that you've sort of like, now you're older, you're like, what, in your 40s, and you've actually reflected back on and thought, hindsight's a great thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you can look back and assess why things have turned out a certain way.
I could have probably done some things different.
Yeah.
But even if I would have done things different, things probably still would have been the same family.
Outcome, same result.
Yeah. Because our family's not really been... my grandparents, can't knock them at all. My grandma and my granddad, perfect.
Yeah.
I used to love going there.
Yeah.
My granddad was a joker. My gran was a joker, And then when she passed away, it was... I didn't really have... I did used to go and still see my granddad, but I'd go and see my gran because she was quite poorly. So she had oxygen issues, and from smoking and stuff like that. So when she had to quit smoking, her breathing got really, really bad.
Yeah.
Which it was that killed her in the end. So I didn't really go to see my granddad. And my granddad, I think he struggled with the fact that my gran had gone. So they was together for years.
Yeah.
And that's where his dementia, Alzheimer's, started to kick in. So he started doing weird things, and family was noticing weird behaviour. Yeah. But again, I didn't really have that much of a close relationship with my mum. I didn't know my dad at this point.
Yeah.
He was an absent father.
Yeah.
So he disappeared and went off and had many kids with other people.
Yeah.
And then like aunties and uncle wise, I never really saw any of them. So it wasn't that kind of family where you're all like close knit. You'll meet up at this point, this time.
Yeah.
Funerals.
Same. Yeah, no, man, I'm the same. Yeah, it's shit when you think about it, but then you really need them in your life. You know what I mean? They weren't there for you when you were in your hardest point. Why'd you need them now?
Exactly. But when I got with Carla, I looked at her family. Like,
yeah.
And I was just like, why couldn't I have had a family like this? Especially like with her dad. Her dad was a legend. And when I got involved with her family, I got on with her dad like a house on fire.
Yeah.
Like we literally clicked.
Do you think that's because you'd never had that father figure?
Yeah. He was just a guy that you could talk to. Like, and he was an older guy, which is the same age as my dad would have been.
Yeah, wise
definitely.
head.
So I saw difference when it come to seeing how close Carla's family were, and then you put it into the fact of looking at your own family. It's like, well, why can't your family be like that? Like, and it just turned out I got the worst of the bunch.
You just got a bad hand dealt.
Yeah. What do you know? I used to sit there before, but I used to sit there when I used to be in my prison cell, and I used to think, do you know what? What if I was born in a family that was in America somewhere? I was just like, you know, in the nice sun and on a beach, and like being bought a surfboard for your birthday. Like, but why did I have to be born?
What you see in the films?
Yeah. Why did I have to be born in bloody Nottingham in a council flat? I've been like your dad being a knob. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, why do we get the bad?
Why do you have to experience the experiences you experienced?
Yeah.
But then it shapes you for who you are, because like, do you not think that?
Yeah.
Like, you know, would you? I know in hindsight, would you go back and live a different life? Fucking most people that have been through struggle would say yes. Most people, if they would say, like, if I didn't have to experience that pain, then great. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't change things.
Do you know what? The reason why I wouldn't change it is because if I did, number one, I wouldn't have her.
You'd be someone else.
I wouldn't have my kids.
Yeah.
And
I
I'd
agree
have to
with
do
that.
it all over again. So I wouldn't change it just for that fact. And like I wouldn't.
You've got through it. You're here now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that is who you are, or who you were, should I say? And it shaped you to be who you are now.
It's about like taking positives out of negatives.
There's always a positive and a negative.
So
there's always a lesson to be learned.
And that's what I've done. So and it's the same. It's the same with our relationship. Like our relationship's been proper. It's been turmoil through the years, but we've always managed to get through it.
Yeah.
I've because of my life. I'm not going to blame my life, but I've found it really hard to be attached to stuff.
Yeah.
And like my mind always goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I can't. I'm not very good with my feelings, am I?
No.
Right. I'm not good with them.
Yeah. I'm pretty shit.
You could be sitting there like she'll be sitting there and she'll be like, "You all right?" And even though I'm not, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same.
But the more she asks me, the more I get annoyed.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
Now you're making me annoyed. Like, I'm okay, but I'm actually not. But what I should be doing is like saying, I'm not all right.
It's pissing me off.
Yeah.
And I can always tell as well. I can tell that there's something wrong with you. That's why I say, "Oh, you all right?" And then you look at me like this, and I'm like,
my missus does exactly the same. Like what I'm exactly the same. I don't know why I do it, because I'm not as bad as now as I used to be. I'm a lot more willing to sit there and talk about it and say, yeah, actually, I'm fucked off because of ABC or whatever. Mm. When did that like start for you? When did the light come on for you? Because I know you said you fell off the wagon a few years back, which was what, 2017? You said?
Yeah, I mean, so I obviously I was still involved in criminality. I was still serving up and stuff like that. And it was hard to get out of. Still involved with gangs and stuff. And it, you know, even I've been stabbed like 3 times. You'd think like things like that is enough for you to get away from the life, and it's just
it's not.
It's just a badge of honour, isn't it? I've lost friends to knife crime and things, you know, and it's even that weren't enough. So it was, I've always dabbled. Bit of dealing here and there. Like it was just like I just couldn't help it. It had to be done. But it got to a point for me where I was, even though I weren't taking the hard drugs that I was addicted to, I was taking others. Yeah. So I was sniffing coke, or I was smoking weed, or I was dropping Valium,
doing whatever.
Yeah, but even still, I'm still clean.
Yeah.
Officially. Yeah.
But
I'm not, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I was adding all this into the equation, and I got really ill with my liver. Well, I went to the doctor, had a blood test. My liver was messed up, and at that point I was self-medicating with like loads of tramadol and Valium. Yeah. And at this point, because I was still doing little bits, I ended up lapsing back on heroin. She didn't know at this time. Obviously, for the first couple of months, you can keep it a secret, but you start slipping. Yeah. Right? You start like losing your way a little bit, and that's what happened from there. So we just it started ruining the relationship from there, didn't it? We just like the rows started coming from there. Yeah. You can explain like how was that for you?
Yeah, it was awful. He was taking money. That was a hard thing. I think what made it worse in our relationship with that situation was that as soon as I knew that he was taking that, I thought I could stop him. Yeah. So I thought, I was very naive in the fact that I thought, right.
Yeah, the addiction's in control.
Yes, but I felt like, no, I'll I'll be able to stop this. So I put myself through a lot. If I'd have just, I don't know, it probably wouldn't have been as bad if I had just let him do what he wanted to do. But because it was hard to see him doing that to himself, like really, really hard. And obviously I cared about him, the fact that we'd got kids together. So I tried to stop it, and a lot of the time that was why it ended up getting as bad as what it did. So yeah, he was stealing money, taking my cards, and then I'd hide them, and then
lying. Would you lie?
Oh God, yeah, lying.
Yeah.
And there was an occasion when I went back to work and was doing some cleaning jobs, and because he kept going, he had the problem, and then he did end up. Well, I don't know whether you did end up ever getting yourself clean or whether that was a lie, but it was like back and forth for a while. Yeah. And sometimes he would disappear off and go God knows where for a couple of days at a time, and I wouldn't see anything from him or hear anything from him. And things got quite violent at a point. It's all a big blur in my head. Like all of that whole time that went on, it's all jumbled up together.
You just get through it, don't you?
Yeah. So at the first initial point, we was living in a caravan, weren't we? We was staying on a caravan site, and he would take my car, he would take the cards, take all the money. We ended up losing the caravan because of that reason.
So how long did this go on for?
What was it? A year and a half?
Yeah.
About a year and a half.
About that.
So what was the crunch? What was the crunch point? What point did you get to before you said, like, that's it now?
Really bad. So there was a few police calls that I'd made, because whenever he would come back and come back to in this time, we ended up moving to a flat because we'd lost a caravan. Then the flat that we was living in, none of the bills were getting paid. So then I ended up going onto the council list, and I ended up getting a property through the council, and then moved there. And during this time, he's going on and off it. And then he'd been off it for a little while. And then I remember going back to work, and he kept saying to me, "Oh, let me take the car, I'll drop you off," because he had a driving licence. It was my car, and I obviously had a driving licence, but we were both insured on the car.
Yeah.
And then he kept on saying to me, "Oh, you don't trust me, do you? Like, surely you're going to give me a bit of responsibility in that." So I said, "All right, fine. You drop me off to work. You look after our son, Tyler."
Yeah.
So I went and did this cleaning job, and then he dropped me off. And then when it come to me finishing, he was supposed to pick me up at a certain time, and he hadn't. So I tried to ring his phone. He didn't answer the phone. So I thought straight away, I just had
What's
this
he
horrible,
doing?
sick feeling come over me. I thought I should never have let him. And I'm upstairs in this woman's house, cleaning this woman's house. She's downstairs. And in the end, I'm so frantic. She actually come upstairs and was like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "I think my partner's gone back onto heroin. He's got my son, he's got my car." And I was so worried. I ended up phoning up the police because he didn't answer the phone at all.
Yeah.
I ended up phoning up the police saying, "My partner's got my car, he's got my child, and I think he might have taken something." In the end, what had happened is what had happened. He'd taken our son to go and score the drugs. He'd gone and gone back to the house, taken them, and then he tried to drive to pick me up. But obviously, the effects of taking heroin had come over him, and he ended up falling asleep driving. And it was just lucky that for his sake and for our son's sake, that there was an off-duty police officer coming down the hill at the time, and he was just stopped at a green light in the middle of the road. And they got out, and obviously with the police call that I'd made as well, they straight away obviously went and made sure we'd got the handbrake on, and took him to one side. And then they rang my mum, because I had my old house phone when I lived with my mum on the system. And she went down and got my son. And then she rang me and said, "Oh, come to mine. Like, what the hell is going on? I've just had to go and pick Tyler up. What the hell is going on?" I remember I'd held it all in for like a year and a half. Nobody knew about it apart from a couple of my close friends. And I just went into my mum and dad's house. I said, "He's on heroin." And I remember my mum and dad saying,
And everyone
"What the
found out."
hell?"
Oh.
Yeah, so then it was a bit of a struggle, because then I was still like, I was torn. Obviously, my family like, "Stay well away from him. Like, don't get yourself involved with that. You can stay here." And I didn't want to stay there. There was still part of me that wanted to make sure he was okay.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like that. And then things got a little bit worse. There was an occasion when I was at the house, and he kept coming back, and it got really bad. We had a massive argument. He ended up trashing the whole place. And it got to the point where it was so bad. In the end, he tried to smack me around the head with a hammer in front of the kids. And I moved out the way, and he'd taken my phone and everything from me, locked us in the flat. I'd been in the flat for he'd taken my phone away. I think it was about 24 hours before that. And then I remember him saying, I transferred all of my money out of my bank, and I couldn't transfer it back unless he gave me my phone. And I said to him, "I'll give you some money, just give me my phone, I'll transfer all the money over, you can have it all." And he gave me my phone back. And I remember ringing up I said to him that I was going to ring my mum because I tried to do it through the banking system and it weren't working. So I said I was going to ring my mum, and then I rang 999, and I think he was in the front room, and I pressed the button, but I couldn't really say to them who I needed because he ended up coming running back, and I was going, "Police, transfer the money, police," like that, like saying it so that they would hear me saying police. Yeah, wow. So they would hear me saying police because it got to the bit where it connected, and then it was like, "Who do you need? Police, ambulance, or fire service?" And at that time, he'd come back in. I knew he would obviously go off the rails even more if he thought I was ringing the police. And then he's grabbed the phone off me, and as he's grabbed the phone off me, the phone's ended up on the floor and gone into bits, and the battery's come out and it's turned off. So he didn't know that I'd phoned the police. And within 5 minutes, they turned up at the house. And they took you away, didn't they? Yeah. And that was the last time that I let him in my house.
The thing is, with all that building up, like, because we was already in a position a few months previous before this had all exploded. So we asked for support from social services.
I think it was 6 months before.
6 months before that this had happened. We knew something was wrong. To the point of that, I started treatment for a liver disease. So it was this chemotherapy stuff. And they said to me when I went to the hospital, they said, you need to make sure that your mental health is up to scratch, and you need to be on like antidepressants to make sure that you're okay before you take this medication, because otherwise it's going to make you ill. Yeah. I lied and I said that everything was fine. I was taking this medication and I actually wasn't. So it was within a week, 2 weeks of taking.
And you were still on the gear at that point.
Yeah. I was doing little bits here and there. I was just blagging everybody. That's what comes with that drug.
Mate, I know. I've had family members.
But the thing is, like, with all that, that's where then it, like, literally just went off the rails. And, like, that was so out of a character for me. I've never hit a girl in my life, ever. Yeah. So for that to be then
and for you to be, you were the saviour for her from that previous relationship.
And then I turned into that.
And then you've turned into exactly what you got her away from.
That's what made it so hard for me as well, because I knew that he wasn't like that.
You were like, fuck, what's happened?
Yeah, and that was why I wanted to help him so much, because it was like having, like, even now people say to me, how could you ever get back with him? Because it's like I see it as two different people.
Yeah, well, it is. The addict and the person are different people. I mean, I've had close family members that have been heroin addicts, and it's horrible to see because, like, the drug is what it is.
It's like being possessed by something.
It is, yeah. And you get these people, like, when they're not under the influence of that drug, they're fucking the best people ever. And then as soon as that's fucking in their system, it's like all reason and care and shit goes out the window.
Yeah.
I know exactly how that feels, and I know how fucking hard it is from personal experience of me being an addict and my family members. So,
So social services ended up getting involved.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you know what's going to come out of that. Like,
of course.
I'm bound to see my kids now. Like, I'm not allowed back to the house. Child protection.
So when was this? 2017?
2017.
Yeah, so this was 2017.
2016 into 2017.
Yeah, yeah.
See, we weren't on it for too long.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I'd moved, didn't I? I'd moved out of the house for a good few months.
Yeah.
And then they basically brainwashed her into...
Yeah, so after that final occasion, the police come and took him. And then social services, obviously, they added like an emergency thing where they do like a Marek meeting, which is like where all the organisations get together. They tried to put me in a refuge. I said, I'm not staying in a refuge. I'm not going in there with my kids. I'll go and stay with my mum. So I went and stayed with my mum for a couple of weeks. Before I was allowed back to my flat, they had to come and put all these security things on, like sort all that out. But during that time, he actually left, didn't you? You left, and he was going and staying in this property with other heroin users. And he'd gone for good few months. During that time, I had, through the social services, in order to prove to them that I was protecting my children, I had to get a child arrangements order, which said that because we're both on the birth certificate, if you don't have a child arrangements order, he could come and take the children away.
At any time.
Yeah, so we had this child arrangements order in place. I had to get a non-molestation order, and the courts obviously gave it all to me. And then they said that they was going to bring it to the courts in 3 months' time for him to apply to see where he was in 3 months as to whether he'd got himself sorted out and wanted to apply through the courts to see the children. So I didn't see him for about 3 months, weren't it?
Yeah.
And then I remember the first, so it was horrible. It was really bad. I could barely eat anything during that time. I stayed with my mum for a couple of weeks and I went back home, but I could not stop thinking, like, if nobody helps him, he's going to end up dying, but I can't help him. There's nothing I can do. Like, I knew there was nothing I can do, and I'm not doing anything. Like, the kids had seen, they'd witnessed some of the stuff happening, not all of it. They wasn't always there, but they witnessed some of it happening.
And there was a risk, obviously, for you to carry on doing it. They were going to witness even more. It was going to get worse.
Yeah, and I didn't want it. It's bad enough what we'd already been through, and it was his choice to take that. And I finally realised in the end there was nothing I could do to stop him. But my son's first nursery he had his taster days. It was the first time that I was without any of the kids. So I drove around town and I saw someone who I thought, it was a lady who takes heroin, who I thought would know where he was. And I remember pulling over and I said to her, I'll get in the car. She come and got in the car and I said to her, oh, where's Carl? Do you know if is he still alive? Like, what's the situation? She said, oh, yeah, he is. Shall I show you where he's staying? And I thought, yeah, all right then. So we drove just round, it was round the corner, literally 5 minutes away. And she said, oh, he's staying there. She said, do you want me to get him? And he can come and have a conversation with you. And I thought, oh, God. I couldn't say no. Anyway, so she went and got him and he come and stood next to a window. And I said to him, look, you've got court later today. Are you going? And he was like, what's it for? And I said, oh, it's to see if you can get contact to the kids. And he was like, oh, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm staying in this house. You can explain about the house.
I can imagine the place you were staying in.
God, like, if you put it into a position of where I were to where I am now at that point, it was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, and I was literally, this house was filled with nutters.
Yeah.
Like, they was not all there. Everything was all drug fueled anyway.
Yeah.
There was a woman that, like, I was sleeping on the floor with, like, just how you can imagine, like, a crack house.
I know exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
The quilts have got, like, yellow stains
disgusting
on them.
stains.
Like, it's just jank, yeah. So I had this woman one night, I'm laying there with the quilt on. I've got this quilt and I'm laying there and all I could feel was this tickly on my nose. And I'm like that. And I've opened my eyes. She's literally leaned over me and she's picking things up on the floor. And I'm like, what are you doing? She was like, I'm sure I dropped a little bit of crack down there. And she's literally we call it chicken picking.
Yeah,
like
chicken scratching.
Chicken picking right next to me whilst I'm sleeping. I'm thinking, what the hell?
Off.
That was strike one, right? So then strike two come back. I could hear this meowing. And I'm thinking, what's this noise? Like, where is this coming from? So I've gone about my business in the house and I'm just doing whatever I'm doing. And it got louder.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, where is that coming from? So anyway, I've opened up the cupboard and I've opened up the freezer. The cat jumped out. So she'd put the cat in the freezer.
Oh, no.
So I'm like, why you put the cat in the freezer? She was like, oh, they're going to come and burgle the house. They're going to kill my cat.
Fucking hell.
It was off key.
Yeah,
so
I'd
had enough. Do you know what I mean? It was just like, why am I doing this? I shouldn't be doing this. I've got kids. Like, it's not like it were previous, like in my younger years. I didn't have anybody. So it didn't make any difference whether I was
now
on drugs.
You had responsibilities, dependents, innit?
Exactly. So her coming, she came at the right time.
Yeah.
She did come at the right time for me. So I stood there. I did the court case. I did go to court. That day, yeah. I went to court that day. Didn't really look that healthy going, but I still turned up.
Yeah. I took him, didn't I? I took him for, he was really skinny. And I said, oh, you even washing? Like, and like, because I didn't have the kids, I thought, right, okay, I'll go and get you something to eat. So I went and got him something to eat. Went and took him to the court and he went in and
yeah, I just basically said, look, I'm telling you, I'm going to sort it out.
Yeah.
From this day on, I'm going to sort it out. And I said that I'll get negative samples. I'll, by the
do everything you got to do.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I did. Yeah. So I stopped using. I stuck with like other prescription medication just to make sure I was well.
Methadone.
Yeah. But then the time that I said to the judge, like, I'll be off this by December. Like, this will be done. I'll be giving you negative samples by then. She was like, if you can do that, I'll give you access back to the kids. So I was giving negative samples all the way up until December, and then I detoxed really quickly off the methadone.
Yeah.
I went down like 5 mil every couple of days or something.
Yeah.
And then I gave the negative samples at court access back. So then we obviously had the social services that we had to fight, and they were scoundrels. Like, they was trying to make up lies of this. They was using all my childhood stuff as like stuff against me for the present. It's like, well, how's the childhood got anything to do with this? It didn't make no sense. They was getting people's names wrong in the reports, like people that abused me,
really
mentioning the wrong people.
It was
sloppy. It was really sloppy work, and she hadn't seen us for about 64 days or something. And she tried. We went into this room. It was the second child protection meeting. And everybody around the table that I saw regular was pointing me really good points. And then it got round to her and she pointed me at high risk. And it was like, how am I high risk? You haven't seen us for 64 days. I can't be that bad, So from that moment on, bang, they took us off of it. We was off it within 3 months. Usually it's like 6 to 12, the child protection. So, so that was the point for me then. I've just thought, I've had enough. Like, I don't want that life no more. Leave that stuff alone. Leave it in the past.
Yeah.
But it was just something that it was hard to get away from it, because heroin's been a part of my life since I was 16 years old. Yeah. So, and even when I was involved in gangs, I was still involved in gangs, but I was still on heroin. So, and it was a secret. up to a certain point. Nobody knew because I was serving it up for Jamaicans. So it was.
You didn't want to be seen to be a fucking habitual user because that's a weakness.
I was serving it up in the hostel I was living in. Like, you know, and I was just getting regular parcels. I was, you know, back in the day in the 90s, the Yardies was coming into Nottingham quite a lot. And we had quite a few that we was working for. It was the Yardies that killed my friend. So they stabbed him in the heart. So they was quite prominent. They kill you over £1. You know, it's a principle.
Sponge, mate.
Yeah, definitely, mate. But I ended up getting kidnapped in the end.
Did you?
Yeah, because I got myself in debt.
With them?
Yeah. And, you know, you're in that moment and you think these are all your pals.
Yeah.
This is stuff I try and say to kids all the time. Like, you don't know who your pals are.
I say this to people, like people of young age all the time. It's like, your mates now, 15, 14 years old, they will not be there for you in fucking 10 years time.
No. They won't be there for you.
No,
you get a 12-month stretch up your ass.
Exactly.
They'll carry on with their lives like you never existed, you know? You know, that happened. I got kidnapped. I got put in a car. I got hit with a gun. I had a gun in my mouth. I got stripped naked and left in a field. Like, and this was for like a couple of £100. Yeah. Some dog walker lady saved my life with that, really. She was, if you're thinking about it, you're naked in a field. In the field naked and you've got some woman with
That's pretty vulnerable, isn't it?
Yeah. You know what I mean? But
How old was you then?
Just over 16, nearly
like
17.
a child, really.
Yeah.
If you think back, obviously at that age you think you're older than what you are, but when
You do,
now, look at, if you was to see a 16-year-old now in a field naked, it's been beaten up, you'd think,
fucking hell,
you're
right.
Yeah. Come here, mate.
Yeah.
But it was like, but back then, I'd had so much stuff happen. I had to grow up quick anyway.
Yeah.
So I left home. Well, I say left home. My parents had broken up. My mum went and stayed with my grandparents. My stepdad went and stayed with my brother and sister at his parents, and I was left to run the roost at my own house with 3 dogs. I just had all my gang mates around the house and just causing chaos in my house, terrorising the neighbour and all that. Like, it was just crazy. Yeah. And then the council and police came around and removed me from the house. That made me having to then go and live with my uncle. I went and lived. I was still doing some mad stuff at that time when I went and lived with my other uncle. He'd been in the military for a long time. Yeah, he wasn't right in the head himself, you know. So he had PTSD and stuff, seeing his mates blown up and that. So I was just around people that was nuts.
Yeah, all the time.
So it was kind of that stuff. Then decides it gets portrayed onto you.
Yeah.
And then obviously the stabbing. My pal, he got killed. He died in my arms. So then, you know, all this stuff that built up when this stuff happens. You know, even when I got stabbed, it's just. You just brush it off. Yeah, it's just a brush off, and it's not until like you get to like your later on years, like
certain age
now.
Yeah,
you think like when you start talking about different things, especially when it comes to the drugs. Yeah, because drugs, I think was just something that just closed all that off for me. Yeah, I never had to think about any of it whilst I was taking that stuff, and you could be on heroin, but by the time goes by, you're already in 4 years. You're thinking, where's 4 years gone? Yeah. Because the time just doesn't stop. I mean, it just goes really quickly when you're on the stuff because you're off your nut all the time.
Yeah, well, I was similar. I was on gear and rock, and it was similar. Do you know what I mean? I was just off my fucking face all the time. Like you said earlier, that period of hardship's a blur. Yeah. That's what I say to people a lot of the time. They're like, what was that like? I'm like, I can tell you sort of, but
it's all muddled up.
It's such a blur to me now because I was fucking off my tits all the time. I couldn't really tell you what was going on in my head at the time. You know what I mean?
It's a hard drug to get away from. When you've taken it for so long, it's literally implemented in your head.
It's physical as well, isn't it? Yeah, it's not just a mental addiction; it's the physical addiction to it as well.
And the thing is, it affects everybody else around you. So it's not just you. That's
even when you think it's not.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I think it's actually worse sometimes for the people around because we're not. I wasn't taking anything to block it out. So like, it's really hard. And like I said, it's that torn thing between knowing what somebody's like as a normal person,
and then when that influences,
and then that complete monster. But it's almost like you know that person, like say like say with like dementia and something, you know that once that person's brain, then that person starts to, because my gran had dementia, and like once she'd started to gone and didn't recognise us, we knew that wasn't coming back. Yeah. But with him in his situation, I knew that
it's like Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah. All he had to do was. I say it like all he had to do, but to me, all he had to do was just stop taking it, and he'd be back to that normal, loving, nice person, and we could carry on our life. So it was like,
it's the reasoning behind him taking the drug that he was doing it for. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what being an addict is, isn't it? I mean, what was your reason?
I don't know.
You don't know. You just liked it.
I liked it, yeah, and I don't know how it started, why it started. It just happened again.
Addictive personality.
No, don't believe in it.
Don't believe in it.
No.
Why?
Because how can somebody have an addictive personality? I think because as you work with your brain, yeah, your personality is you as a person, right?
Yeah.
And you have like your front cortex of your brain that's in control of all that stuff. So when your brain when you start adding different substances to your body, your brain then becomes likable to that certain thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't make your personality that gets addicted to it. It's the endorphins and stuff that gets released for the pleasure of it.
Yeah.
That's where the addiction
Chasing
comes
the buzz.
from. You're chasing the buzz. So I don't believe in addictive personalities, because if you've got an addictive personality, sugar's really addictive. So eating jam donuts, that's going to be addictive, or smoking weed and smoke. If you're going to be taking addictive substances and you can smoke weed once, don't like it, I'm going to leave that alone. It's an addictive.
Yeah.
An addictive substance.
Yeah.
So I don't believe in an addictive personality. What I believe in is the addiction comes from a pleasure. You have to like something to take it for so long. Otherwise, you wouldn't take it. Just like you like to go to a chip shop and on your chips you have salt and vinegar. You wouldn't go into a chip shop without putting salt and vinegar on your chips, because you know you like the taste of it when you do.
Yeah.
So that's how it would work. That's how the brain works with it. So yeah, I don't believe in that personality.
Interesting.
He does all this. He done all this after when it went to court, and then he'd obviously got banned from seeing the kids. During that 3 months that he had to try and prove it, where he wanted to prove to the judge that he'd changed his life around, he was getting like the negative samples, but he went and put himself on all these different courses.
That's
and,
good
like,
though. That's
Yeah,
that's a sign of someone who actually wants to
yeah.
change, isn't it?
And then he had, because when he went back to court, he had this massive booklet of all the different things that he'd done. But one of the courses that he did like this intuitive recovery course, which teach you all about the brain. I think I know the whole course right off the top of my head now, because he'd come home and he would tell me all these different things. Wouldn't you? Like, over the years, he's told me so much about the different ways that the brains work. So.
Yeah.
It's crazy how this is what helped me stop.
Yeah.
And I quit smoking. I know I do vape, but the smoking in itself, I probably would still be smoking cigarettes if I wouldn't have done that course.
Yeah.
And I think that it opened up my mind. Like, it opened my eyes to a lot of stuff when I did this course.
Yeah.
And I thought, that is why I do what I do.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain unless you do the course. But
Yeah,
I did the course that well. They wanted me to teach it.
Yeah.
I think you did teach it to
I
me.
did teach it, and I actually got up and did a talk in front of loads of other people with this course. And the thing is, when I do something, I have to do it very well.
Yeah.
Very precise. I've got really.
What was the course called for other people that are listening?
It's intuitive thinking, so intuitive recovery. If you put it into YouTube, it will come up with the guy that designed it.
Okay.
And it's all done with like ambivalent thinking and stuff.
Yeah.
Right, and it's done with like the using Pavlov's dog. So if you get a dog to come to a bowl of food, and you ring that bell for that dog to come to that food, every time you ring the bell, he's going to come. But on one occasion, you don't put that food in that bowl and you ring the bell, he'll come for a couple of times. But on that third bell, he'll notice and realise, actually, there's not even going to be any food in that bowl anymore.
Yeah.
It's pointless going to it.
Yeah.
So it's just, it changes the way you think.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. It was about, because the hardest thing about addiction is change.
Yeah.
And you're scared, and you've got that fear factor of like, what's going to come next? How am I going to fill that gap?
Yeah.
And I think that's half the reason why people struggle to just come off of it in the first place.
I think it's the same with any substance, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
If you use it for a certain reason.
So that's what I did, and I used that intuitive thinking, and I used it quite regular, didn't I? And the way that I was thinking and the way that I behaved, because you have to change your behaviours as well.
Yeah.
And everything else around you, including friends.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely.
I dropped everybody out.
You got to.
Everybody.
When I moved away, I literally cut ties with all of my friends, apart from maybe one or two that I do keep in contact with and I've always been pals with. But I fucking cut myself off from everyone and everything. I felt like I had to, because I truly wanted to change.
Yeah.
And I knew that if I really wanted it, that I had to fucking make a sacrifice.
Yeah.
And you got to, haven't you?
Yeah. There's one pal that I spoke to, and I've still, like, my mate Perry.
Yeah.
He always asked how I were all the time, didn't he? My mate Perry.
But then he's not involved in that sort of stuff. So
No.
it's like he's a safe friend, whereas a lot of the friends that you had
associates,
yeah.
they're just saying.
And
you
now
realise who your
either,
friends are.
Oh,
now
mate,
a lot of them
yeah.
are either in prison
I've
or
got
some of
none.
them have died, haven't they?
Yeah, some have died, some are in jail.
Same.
You know, and we drive past people quite regular that we've done the same thing. Like, I've done the same things with, and they're still at it.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm like 7 years clean in May.
Yeah.
So, and they're still
well
at
done.
it now. So it's yeah. But like I said, you know, I talk about it quite often. and I don't talk about it quite often because it's just like I want to constantly remember it and go over it. It's good to have some reminders.
Yeah,
it's good to have them reminders.
Do you think it's good? It's good. It's free therapy, though, isn't it? I think when you've learned to come to terms with it, like you have clearly, because the way you talk about it so candidly, like I think it helps. The more and more and more you talk about it so freely, it's like, yeah, I've come through that. That's not me anymore.
Oh, definitely.
Do you know what I mean?
They say talking therapy, don't they? You actually have talking therapy.
And this is why we do this on TikTok.
Yeah.
So, we do it on TikTok a lot, don't we?
Yeah, we love it. And I feel like it helps me as well. I never had any... I did try and do some trauma-based therapy, but I just found it... When can you sort of like... For me personally, obviously I'm still a mother to 3 children. And when can you... So when I went and did the trauma-based therapy, it was at 2 o'clock. I think my session was 2 o'clock till 3. The school runs at 3:30.
When else have you got time?
Exactly. So I went down to this building. I went and did this, obviously from the hours of 2 till 3, I was traumatised again because I'm having to talk about all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it was really hard to talk about. I was crying. This was quite early on. This was a good few years back. It was awful. I come out of there. I ended up nearly crashing my car. And then I had to go and pick the kids up. So I had to then go and stand in a playground and act normal when I'd just reminded myself of all this stuff that I'd shut to the back of my head and brought it all back up again. And I thought, I can't do this. Like, I'm going to end up, I don't know what's going to end up happening to me. Like, I've got 3 kids that I've still got to be a mum to. Yeah, so I didn't end up having any therapy, did I? And then for quite a few years, I kept trying to talk to you about it, didn't I? And we was like the worst people because I wanted to talk to him because obviously I felt like him listening to it and then showing a bit of remorse or like just hearing what I'd actually gone through and being
acknowledging
proud,
it.
Yeah, being proud of me for the fact that we're still together. And but he didn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And it upset me.
Why didn't you want to hear it?
It was hard to hear. When you're being told this stuff, like I don't remember most.
Listen to how you fucked me up, basically.
Yeah.
Do you know
exactly.
what I mean?
And I've then got to take responsibility for that, and
hold yourself accountable.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's not nice.
I didn't remember most of the stuff she was coming out with. When she's sitting there telling me about it, I'm thinking, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
What are you on about? Like, and obviously, it
did.
happened.
Yeah.
So the more it was going, and then I could see like how upset. Like I said, I don't know. I'm not in touch with no feelings. Like I'm just kind of like cold-hearted with stuff. But I've changed that now. I'm not that. That's not me. Like I've got to I've had to
take down that barrier.
Yeah, of course I had to. What's the barrier there for?
Yeah.
I ain't got anything.
Well,
I don't need to protect
originally
myself.
It was probably there for your own self-protection, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean?
I don't need to protect myself anymore. Like I'm quite open and honest.
Yeah.
This is where, like what we say with TikTok, we're quite open and honest on there. I think that's why we've got good followers that we have.
Yeah.
We're straight up. What you see is what you get.
Yeah.
And we help and we talk about this stuff on social media for the fact of because there's other people that could be going through the same thing. And they could get some empowerment from us to know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel for people or families or partners that are going through that stuff.
Yeah.
Not everyone's going to make it. I'm not going to say that.
Yeah, and some people are going to be. I mean, you know what people are like on social media. Like, some people are going to watch what you do and be like, "Listen to these pair of cunts."
Oh, we do. We've had some right funny stuff.
You get some right trolls, innit?
Yeah.
And I do. Do you know what I mean? You're going to get that. But what's your views on people like that who might pop up on your videos and go, "Oh, look at these pair of dickheads."
We play with them.
Do you? How'd you do it?
Well, no, that's not completely. At first,
did you find it hard not to let it get to you?
No, I didn't. So I think because of the amount of stuff I've been through, I feel like I would never have, because of my anxiety was so bad until probably about a year ago. It's got a lot better, and I've managed to achieve stuff in the last year that I have never managed to achieve. And I had crippling anxiety for a good 10 years, like to the point where I couldn't. It was really, really bad. So I feel like, because I feel like I could never suffer as much as what I've suffered throughout my life. So when they say stuff, I can brush it off. But Kyle, on the other hand, he kept getting wound up by it.
Who the fuck's this guy?
I remember saying to him after we come off that live, I was like, "You've really got to work on yourself. Like, you've really got like."
You wouldn't say that to my face.
Yeah, I used to be like that. I used to be like that.
You've got to calm down. If we're going to put ourselves in a public scenario,
you've got to accept that some people's opinions are going to differ to yours.
And I also said to him, like, we've got a good bunch of people on there. I said, why are you even giving entertainment to somebody, like, out of all the 10 comments might come through,
you'll only respond to the angry ones.
And yet what's that going to teach everybody? That's going to teach everybody to say angry stuff if you want to talk or if you want a reaction from us. Whereas we should be concentrating on the good people and just brushing that off and ignoring it. And slowly,
or kill them with kindness. That's what I do with people like that. I kill them with kindness.
We're starting to do that.
And people, they hate it even more.
I know.
They'll try and come back to you again, and you're like, "Have a nice day." Do you know what I mean?
But you know, from doing that, we've actually got them as followers.
Yeah.
So they follow our page now, and they
Yeah.
message us saying, "Oh, we were just playing. Like, we
I like your video.
You're actually all right."
Yeah.
So it does work out for a benefit. But like my mate Paul Stansby, he did. We put a thing up last week, didn't we? It was going to do
troll hour.
troll. It was called Banter Hour. So all trolls welcome.
Yeah,
and we went on there, and no trolls came on.
No, they all scared off it. I think there was one, and he tried it. He tried a couple of things, and because he just wasn't getting anywhere, because Paul loves what he likes to wind.
Banter, pure
it's
banter.
funny, but yeah, he was going in, wasn't he? And then in the end, they just left.
They
we
left,
had none.
gone. We had
going,
no
where
trolls.
are you?
We
all?
ended up turning it into some heartfelt conversation or so. We were just having a bit of a laugh, and then the followers was coming on from this side and his side, and it was like, "Oh, this is brilliant! Oh, you've made my night," and stuff.
Yeah.
So it ended up going in a positive way anyway.
Yeah.
The trolls didn't even come in because they thought there was no point in going on air.
Yeah.
We're just either going to get terrorised, or just they don't care. They're not going to pay attention. So
I think they only like it though when you're deep in a story, and they like to come in, and I don't know whether they like to try and get a reaction out of people if they can see strength from somebody. I think they like to burst the bubble, but if you don't allow them to, they normally just bugger off and go and bother somebody else.
Bother someone else. So what is the? I mean, so obviously to put it into context, to people that are listening, I didn't know who you guys were 2 weeks ago. You didn't know me, right? I started my TikTok account 10 days ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I'm new to it. I'm totally new. I've had my Facebook, and I've got quite a good following on my Facebook because I do my Facebook lives and all that sort of stuff, and I share my stuff. And I've got quite a good little following from people that are in the property development space at a low level who are trying to get into business, and I've got a little bit of a following there. So when I started doing the podcast and had that idea, I was like, right, I've got to be over every platform, TikTok, YouTube, everything. So I haven't put a TikTok up there for ages, and I thought, you know what, like a couple of weeks back, I'm going to do this seriously, which, like you said, I like to do things properly. I do things, you know, all or nothing. So I was like, right, I'm going to start a TikTok. So I started a TikTok. And then, I go on and add loads of people. You build your following up, you interact. And I did with you guys, and I see a couple of your videos, and I was like, what, relate to this guy? Because not many, like, in my arena, in property development and in that space, a lot of people talk shit. And a lot of people are like, oh, look at me, look at fucking, and put on this, like, you know, fake image. And I fucking hate it. Can't stand it. And I fucking hate people like that. So when I saw your videos and what you talk about, your anxiety, your story, you know, the way you look, because people judge you when they look at you straight away, don't they? But then I love that. Like, you don't give a fuck. Like, you are what you are. You got your tattoos and that. And I like that. So I was like, yeah, I like these guys. And then that's why I reached out to you guys and thought, yeah, let's get you on. But what's your, like, now you're doing this together, like, on your social media, what's the goal? What's it for? Or are you just doing it because you want to do it? Is there an ultimate goal to it? Like, or are you just doing it because you like doing it?
There's not really no ulterior motive.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Originally, I had a social media originally that was set up because I was putting out documentaries, not like just on the facts of my life, and I was doing it alone. Even though I had my missus at home, I was doing it alone. Yeah. So I completely disregarded everything to do with family and concentrated solely on that. Yeah. And it ruined our relationship, and we ended up breaking up. Yeah. I did put, like I said, everything's got to be perfect. And like, if I've got to do something, I'm going to do it. I don't care what you're saying. I'm going to do it. If I'm going to,
even if you go down in a ball of flames, you're going to fucking do it.
I'm going to London. I'm going for 2 days. Like, it'll lump it. I've got to go and film this thing. Yeah. So I was filming documentaries on my life. I was filming other people that have lost their kids to knife crime. So I was traveling all over the place, and I was never at home. Yeah. That obviously caused a lot of mass effect at home, and you know, we weren't getting on with each other. I didn't really care.
Yeah. You were doing your thing.
Really caring. Yeah.
And then do you know what? What ended up happening was I ended up getting so sick of it. I thought, do you know what? And I had this opportunity. I was on this thing called Star Now, which is like where you can have like modelling. Because what happened was my dad died, and he'd always said about doing modelling. And when he died, it was almost like I thought to myself, our life is so short. Yeah, and I can't keep living with this anxiety. Like, I need to just get up and do something, and it was so weird.
And he always said you could be a model.
Yeah, he always said it, and I always felt like I let him down because he always said, "Oh, you're tall. You can definitely do it. You've got natural hair, like all these different things." And then after he died, and then it just so happened that a couple of days later, this thing come through on my Star Now, inviting me down to London to go and have this modelling shoot thing done, free of charge, and like to have a portfolio and stuff. And then I remember saying, right, I'm going to concentrate on myself.
I'm doing it now.
So I said I was going to do it, and I said to him, I'm going to go and do it. And then he was like, oh, is that what you're going to do, is it? And I said, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And at the time I thought, maybe I'll just drive down there and sit in the car because I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. But anyway, I went, And then I went in and I did end up doing it. Like once I was in there, I thought, I can't back out now. Like this person's expecting me. So I had all these photos taken. And
She looked beautiful as well. The pictures were so good.
I loved it. After I'd had it done, a representation of how I felt. I didn't look how I felt.
Yeah.
Like I looked like a really confident person. And I think I've always struggled with thinking that I'm a lot bigger than what I am. And like seeing myself in them pictures, I thought I've had 3 kids. I'm actually not looking too bad.
Yeah.
And then I
give yourself a bit of credit.
Yeah, and I didn't think that's how I looked because I don't see myself like I don't ever take pictures.
No one does really, do they?
No, and I thought actually I'm not as bad. And then what happened was I started focusing on this whole modelling stuff. So then it was like, what ended up happening, I set up this Instagram. He obviously had an Instagram. And then it's become a competition. So I would say to him, how many followers you got?
Many followers
and
now.
he'd say to me, well, I've got that many. And then when I overtook him, you could see that he was frustrated. Yeah, but it gave me so much satisfaction.
Competition.
Yeah, and we actually ended up like we was against each other.
Yeah.
Completely against each other. We both had 2 different things. It actually ended up breaking us up. We ended up breaking up.
Really?
And and then
so that's mad that social media thing has
Yep.
caused that split up after
Yep.
everything. Because what I ask a lot of people, because I meet a lot of people on social media, hence how I met you guys. Do you think social media is good or bad?
it depends on the people, doesn't it?
use it
And
as
what
well.
you're using it for.
Yeah.
I'd like
If you're a consumer or a creator,
Yeah.
and I think that's got a big thing to do with it.
being a
It can be
creator.
toxic for both.
Yeah,
Yeah, it can be.
But I think being a creator, you have to know what your limits are.
Yeah.
So I was putting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week into my social media.
Yeah.
I weren't paying attention to anything else other than my social media.
Yeah.
And I was working as well.
Yeah.
So there was no time at home. So then obviously she set hers up. Obviously she's going to have to put 100% into the modelling thing because you have to get your work.
Yeah.
So we both was doing that. Then we broke up. So then we broke up. And then when we got back together like a couple months later. So then when we got back together, it was kind of like, right, sit back.
Yeah, what we're going to do
What
now.
we're going to do now. Like,
Yeah.
like, obviously, I still want to do the stuff that I've been doing because it's beneficial to the community. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only just solely because you're clouting. No, I don't really care about that. I'm doing stuff that I'm doing with the filming and stuff like that. It's for other people. It comes out of my own pocket. So what am I clouting for?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was like, right, we won't have a separate social media. We'll have one together.
Yeah.
We deleted all.
We deleted everything.
Christmas Day, wasn't it?
Did you?
We had a row. We got back together. Then we had an argument. Christmas Day.
What, just gone?
Yeah, Christmas Day. And then we was like, right, it's gone. I just stood up. And I was like, I'm getting rid of it. I'm deleting it.
Yeah,
gone.
mine was gone.
And he was like, well, I'll delete mine as well. So gone.
So then it was gone. And then
And we
Boxing
set this
Day.
up Boxing Day,
We
didn't
set
we?
TikTok up on Boxing Day.
Yeah.
So we've had TikTok for about 2 months.
It's been the best thing we ever did.
And and that's why we come up with the name, like Two's a duo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we've always been a duo, even within our relationship. Yeah, obviously.
Even when you're apart.
Yeah, we're a duo. Even
Yeah.
when we was apart, like I still thought about her. Even if I'll admit, when we did break up, I did meet another bird, but I didn't want to meet another bird. I wanted my bird.
Yeah.
So it was a really wrong decision to make, and my heart and my head was always with her, and I never want to lose that. So our relationship we need to be together.
Yeah.
We've got our kids, we've got our family, we're fucking good together. We like the same things, we laugh and joke at the same things. We are a duo.
Good
We're
couple.
a duo, yeah. So why fuck that up? Like, what is the point in doing that? So all of our whole mindset now is into this, what we're doing, and where we've been going live with people, we're making a big impact with other people's lives.
Yeah.
We have people messaging us.
Yeah.
We talk to people regular. We last week we went, because there's a girl that's been missing for 5 years from Worthing. We integrated and got in with her mum. We went and supported her mum on the 5-year remembrance for her daughter that's been missing, and we've been trying to, and Carla in the background's been trying to help her get some answers of where this girl might have gone or disappeared or what could have happened to her. And like, this is what I mean, what we're trying to get out of it. We're not doing this for us. We're doing it for other people.
Really rewarding.
Like, it's rewarding that you're just.
But it's
helping other
fulfilling
people.
for you guys.
Yes.
Like, it's rewarding, and you say, like, yeah, because I'm the same. I say, what I'm doing it to inspire others, help others by, giving them a platform to listen to other people's experiences that they might be able to relate to.
Yeah.
But I am doing it for myself in a sense, because doing that makes me feel good.
Yeah, that's the same. We say that all the time, don't we? It's so rewarding, and also one of the things that we found.
See, a lot of people would say that's because I would say that's a selfish thing, because I'm only doing it really because it makes me feel good doing it in the back end. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
It might make you feel good.
If it made you feel like shit, you wouldn't do it.
No, of course not. We have fun on our lives.
That's what I'm saying.
People watch our lives and they're like, you two are fucking hilarious.
And we get that bit of time together now. We never used to before. Like, what we did wrong is we never made time for us together. Whereas now we get the kids to bed, get them all settled. When they're asleep, then we either go downstairs and we have a couple of hours where we sit there and we go on a live. We have a laugh together, a laugh with other people, and
then we have our own time after time, and we'll go on date nights once a month with each other and have some time to ourselves. Like last week, we did the Love Luxury podcast. We went to Floyd Mayweather fight, and then the week before that, we was Chris Brown VIP. So we went and did that. So we get time. I think the important part of having a relationship and keeping the spark going when you've been together for so long is making time for yourselves. Yeah. Because otherwise it just starts to disappear and
it goes stagnant, doesn't it?
And that's what happened. Obviously the social media didn't help towards that.
Yeah. Because you were so wrapped up in that.
I was wrapped, I'm not gonna lie.
I'm the same. I try my best to make time for Ali and the kids as much as possible. We do, like you say, we go out. We took to a spa the other week for a night, and I try and do something like that once a month.
I think you've got to, haven't you?
I did it for a long time. Yeah, you've got to, even if it is just one day out of a month. Just
makes a difference.
Reconnect with each other. It's important, isn't it?
Yeah,
and that's what we do. And like I say, as a team, we're really, really good. And we've done songs together. There was a knife crime tune that she wrote for me. I sourced the track. I put a bit of input in wise to it, and then went to the studio, recorded it, released it as a Less Blame tune for Knife Crime. So
really?
Yeah, bang that out. There was another one called Problems that she wrote about my life from start to finish, all into a 3-minute song.
Yeah.
That was all done. That was released. So she's put so much work into me at the time that I was doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't put no work back into her. I just took all that work from her and then put all my work still into mine.
Yeah.
So it was just all take kind of stuff to get me where I want to be.
Yeah. Ego.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, it was an ego. Yeah, and because getting recognised and stuff, people seeing you, people liking your stuff and commenting your stuff, it goes to your head.
It does, mate.
It
does, 100%.
It goes to your head. So, now we're doing this together. I want her to experience that.
Yeah.
So we experience it together, and it's not just little old me on my own. It's now us two as a couple.
We've even got the kids involved as well.
Yeah, kids are involved as well.
Our children are.
How old are your kids?
We got
3, 8, and... Well, I've got a few separate.
Have you? How many you got?
I've got 6 all in all.
Yeah. Good relationships with them all?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
So that's another thing that never used to be like that, did it? But now we've got it to a place where we get on. We see the kids regularly, but I get on with the mums as well, and even to the point where I'll go around their house and have a coffee with them without him even being there. So But it never used to be like that. I just think that life in itself is such a learning curve, and I feel like now
that's nice that you've got that, because I rarely hear of that happening where
exactly
the new partner gets on with the old ones and it's all right. You know what I mean?
It didn't used to be that way, did it? We was the same. We had a lot of conflict, and in our whole entire relationship, there's been so many areas of things being so wrong, and yet now we're at that place where it couldn't be better if it tried. It is almost perfect. So it's now we're trying to offer that support and help to other people to show them that you can, despite all of the stuff that we've been through, we have managed to get it to a good place.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's still hiccups. Everybody has their little rows.
It's a constant evolving process, I think. Yeah. Personal development. I think you're constantly making changes and evolving, adapting all the time as you grow older, aren't you?
We work together. We work together with it, and I think So I've done a lot of youth work alongside all of this. So that put me out of the house quite a lot as well, didn't it? And then obviously COVID come in.
That's been a big part of your recovery though, isn't it?
Yeah, massive, yeah. The drugs work and the youth work has been that. That's what I've done for the 7 years I've been clean.
It's like a sense of purpose.
Yeah, so that's all I've known.
Teaching from experience.
Yeah, life
putting
experience.
Putting the bad into the good.
Doing talks in schools on gangs and knife crime and county lines and stuff, because county lines was my job.
Yeah.
So it's I'm just giving young people the experience from somebody that's been through it.
Yeah.
Someone that served time in jail.
Yeah.
And I go and put that experience to other people, and I did that with a youth project. I've done that within the drug and alcohol field. I've worked my way up the ladder there.
Do you ever get any? Have you got any stick from being the way you are from your old peers or people you used to hang around with?
Nah, I was worried about it at first.
Yeah.
Because, if
you're exposing things, aren't you?
Well, to be fair, no, I'm not. I don't expose stuff. I talk. How I talk to them is how to get out of it.
Not how to get into it.
No. I don't. Some different little bits I'll expose, like how you can be groomed into it very easily without you realising.
That's raising awareness.
Just raising the awareness. I'm not giving any tricks of the trade away.
Yeah.
I'm not in it for that. Like whatever you want to do, if you're in gangs and you want to do this and yourself, that's your thing. Like I used to do it, I can't say nothing. Yeah. But when I've worked so closely with kids and you see the dangers that are coming these kids' ways, I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
Even though I used to be that person, I'm not that person anymore. So now my eyes and my ears, everything's open now to the fact of like, wow, like these kids can't go through that. Like it's quite dangerous for them to get involved in it. So you need to give them that experience of this is why you shouldn't. Yeah. Like you're not going to be a millionaire. You're not going to be driving around in your Range Rover in the next month or so. Just look at these people in videos. They're fucking rentals. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Most of them are lying.
Exactly. So don't get sidetracked with it.
Yeah.
So that job ended, and then me and Carla was like, you know, I'm set up my own project. Yeah, like this is the work I want to do. This is the work I was good at. I was in newspapers for it. I was like, this is the stuff that I can do. Yeah. So Carla sat down.
Play to your strengths at the end of the day.
Yeah. So for the last, like, we did set up the project. Obviously, that went on a back burner because my social media, other stuff came first. Again, I dropped priorities, but we rewrapped it all up, didn't we? And over the last few days, we've managed to sit down and we've worked together and we've managed to get this website up and running, and we've put it from like there's so many sections to it, from home to about to the prices, what we do, to podcasts, to documentaries. It's all on that website. So anything that you need or anything that you want to know or anything that you want covered, I'm the guy. You can just contact us via the email that's linked into the website address. Click it in, tell me what it is, the price list there. You already know how much it costs.
People can book you,
and off I go.
That's good.
Yeah. So, but obviously,
so that's your thing now. That is your new thing that you've set up, and now you're putting your work into that.
Work's going into that. Just because I do the drug and alcohol.
Yeah.
But my contract ended and it finishes on the 31st of May.
Okay.
So if I don't manage to pull into another job, which it won't be quite difficult because I've got experience with the jobs and I have applied for another job, but there's no 100% I'm going to get it.
Yeah.
But you know, even if that was the case, you know, I've got this project. This project is what we want to do, like, together. We want this project to get up, get running, get funding going in there, because there's no project like it in my area. So we're filling a gap. Yeah, you've got a youth club, but that youth club's not something that's working around the clock. Yeah,
who uses youth clubs anymore?
What youth workers have they got that are going around our area to actually do individual one-to-one mentoring work with these kids?
Who have actually got lived experience.
Yeah, no one. Who can get these kids into diversionary activities that the kids seem to think that there's nothing out there, but you get someone like me on it, there is something out there because I'm going to find it for you.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it's also about having that, like you always say, about a whole holistic approach. It's about having, like you've said plenty of times, if a youth's having a difficult time, sometimes you can try and help that youth, but all of the external things going on around that youth, like the parents might have difficulties. So it's good to have a bit of knowledge about different things
and understand what's contributing factors to that young person's problem,
and then help the parents and the family as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, you might not have the funding to actually do one-to-one work with them, but you can signpost them to all the different places that you know that they could find and get some support from. So.
Yeah. But bearing in mind, you're a service. Who's going to listen to individuals? Nobody. But as soon as a service starts banging in emails to places, they start getting responses.
Yeah.
They don't get a response for just average Joes like us without a business.
Yeah,
because you're just someone off the street. If you go into a council and say you're homeless, they give you a slip. You got to wait for 16 hours.
Yeah.
And then they tell you you're not a priority.
Exactly.
But then you get a service like myself, or a service like other services that are out there that are working with youth that can send an email to professionals.
Who are a registered company or a business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're going to listen. So the motto is a happy home is a happy child, isn't it? So if you're going to have a happy house, you can work with that kid then. Yeah. Because if you're working with that kid on a one-to-one and you're mentoring that kid and they're going back to that environment, your work that you've just done for that hour and a half is completely gone down the drain. Yeah. They've just gone back into it again. Yeah. So now it's going to go back round to next week. And you're going to come through the same stuff. The same stuff he's going to say. Yeah. When you could try and resolve that.
So a parent could go on your website and get you to come and like do one-to-one mentoring with their kid with them present, or how does it work? Give me a little bit of an overview of what it actually is.
So basically, because the project is just there at the moment, there's a price list there, and not everybody's got a load of money.
Yeah.
So to work with a young person for like minimum of four weeks is £180, and that's 90 minutes a week. Yeah, and it sounds a lot of money, but
not really, I wouldn't say so.
To some families that were like, £180, like, how can we afford that? We're on universal credit. Well, this is where then, understandably, right? But once I've changed my company over to CIC, then you can start applying for funding streams. So the minute that you apply for the funding streams, we've just done the CIC form, we've just got to scan it over, pay the fee that it costs company's house and all that. Once we've done that, then I can apply for funding streams. The minute that I can apply for funding streams, getting referrals in for parents, I can work with these parents without even having to pay, because I've got the money in the bank. It doesn't make any difference. Because at first, when I'm working there, first of all, I won't even be having a wage, because you've got to build that up.
Yeah, of course. Like any business.
Exactly. So there's not going to be much wage there. So what money comes in will go straight back out on that kid or this kid or that kid, or he wants to go to the gym for 3 months. Right, that's going to go dead.
Oh, mate, I love the sound of this.
So that's the plan. So, fingers crossed it will go that way. We've just got to put 100% into it, and we'll take it from there. So, yeah, hopefully.
Love it, mate. Really do like the sound of that. Obviously, you've been thinking about your marketing and videos and all that stuff. You know what you got to do with all that. You need to be massive online with your videos and shit.
Listen, the reason why I put the reason why the podcasts and the documentaries that I've done I've put on that website is because people always want to know the person that they're dealing with.
The backstory.
Yeah.
Why are you credible?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They will see why. So I've done the bio on there. So there's a bio on there that basically is like a brief bio that says where I was born, how old I am. This is the kind of life that I went through as a child. This is what I've done now, expertise, and this is where I am now.
Yeah.
So the whole point of setting up the project that I've set up, it's about showing young people that like there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. You can achieve things if you put your mind to it. And I want to fucking show you that.
Yeah.
You might have.
What's the project called?
Project Youth.
Project Youth, nice.
Yeah. So when you put it into Google, it's projectyouth.co.uk. So that it will come up with that project. It's live there now. There's just I've left it there live. I've still got to put the privacy policy and the safeguard policy on there, but I can do that on my laptop at home. It don't take me 5 minutes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've put it there now just so people can look and they can see it. Yeah. And the email address is all live, ready to go. I've got to apply for some funding in 3 weeks' time from the Crime Commissioner's office for $5,000. I've been speaking to the PA of the Crime Commissioner's office because I want to get some bleed kits and stuff put up in the area. I've got one currently that me and my missus were trying to get these up. The Crime Commissioner, I'm going to put the $2,500 for more bleed control kits, and then £2,500 for activities for kids to go into a gym and stuff. So that'll be the $5,000 that will go straight into Project Youth, and I'll be running it out of that. Because all this stuff that I'm doing in the community is going to be ran out of Project Youth. Yeah. The thing is, the difference is between my projects and other people's projects. They're only running stuff that's to do with youth out of their youth projects. I'm not. I'm running stuff to do with families. I'm running people that have lost somebody. I'm doing bleed kits out of this one. I'm filming documentaries with this one. My podcast is also going on there. Yeah. So I offer so much stuff, or we offer so much stuff. As co and founder of the project, there's so much that you can get from that one website. Yeah. And there'll be so many resources that I've got so many things to keep adding to it. It's just having the time to keep adding stuff, but the resources will be there. Any parents and stuff that might have any worries and stuff about their children, there'll be so many resources there. Just click on that button, it'll all come up. And then they can contact the email and I'll reply. Boom. So it's,
really like that. That sounds like a brilliant idea, mate. Yeah. Good luck with it.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah. See? No, that's that, mate. Yeah, I didn't even know that. You just told me I've learned something new about you, and I really like that. Entrepreneur. No, well, you are, isn't it? No, you are. There's no two ways about it. Definitely.
The thing is, if you don't take the risk, you're never going to know.
Yeah.
And I did take the risk, like I say, last year I took the risk. I quit my job and everything. I said to you, you said like, well, we're just gonna have to put everything into this.
Yeah. Sometimes you just have to do it.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
I'm very impulsive as well, so I'm probably not the best.
If I think I've got to do it, I'm do it.
Yeah, and I did say to him, like, just quit the job. And he said, no, I can't.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. She's like, she was in my ear. Do it.
We'll do it. Just do it.
All I kept hearing was do it. And I was just like, fuck.
Yeah, but then he quit the job, but then you didn't. Then you was more focused on doing bits of acting and supporting.
Yeah, because I was doing acting at the time.
Was you?
Yeah, stuff that was costing money to go and like.
To get yourself places. I was the same. I was into my music back in the day, like MCing and that. And I used to, as much as in my head I thought I was successful, I was getting bookings. I was paying for myself to go most of these places and buying hotels for the night and blah, 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 blah.
It all adds up, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I'm doing bits. And then you're thinking, shit, it actually costs me more than I'm actually making. Ego again, isn't it?
Yeah.
I went to Chelsea for one day. It ended up costing 160
quid.
Yeah,
because he forgot the Dartford charge. He forgot the, he ended up getting a parking ticket.
Down the congestion's fucking route. Yeah,
I swear. And that whole one day, the wages that I would have earned for filming that day, because I was doing background work on Made in Chelsea, so the money that I would have got on that day literally
Another thing that he did was one of the documentaries that he made. He did the same thing again with the Dartford. I think he did actually phone me and say to me, "Can you make sure you pay the Dartford charge?" And I think I ended up getting the kids to bed, completely forgot.
Yeah.
It ended up being a £1,200 bill with the bailiffs turning up.
Shit.
Yeah, and had to pay it.
You just reminded me, I've got a fucking ULEZ charge I've got to pay that I
Yeah,
didn't pay a few weeks ago. I've got to fucking do
Don't
it.
forget, Suze, they
do
come
that
to you.
No, I know they do.
piece.
They're cunts.
Yeah, they bailiff it up, they do, don't they?
Yeah,
Oh my
so,
God.
you know, so there's, things are moving forward nicely.
But as a
Positively,
team,
as a team.
As a team now. We're like, this is what I say to people now. If like we come together.
Yeah.
after 10 years, though, bear in mind, like this, we're we try to be a bit of a learning curve because we didn't just meet each other and then we're like this fantastic.
Hey,
thing.
listen, me
Like,
and
we
my
went
missus
through hell
exactly
and
the
back.
same. We've been together 11 years, married for 10. We got married a year after we met, and the first 5 years were fucking hard. Like, I was still an addict. I was still having really bad problems. And like you were putting so much effort into him, it was the same with Ali and me. She put so much into me, and I was just take.
Yeah.
And then it really, until it got to crunch point for us, which is similar to you, it's like, what do you really want out of life?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, and that wasn't the life I wanted.
Yeah.
And if you think about
But
it,
had she not stuck by you, mate, you'd have just been fucking...
I'd have probably still cracked on, mate.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, probably still would have cracked on. It might have got to a point where I'd have probably stuck, because I did actually have enough before she'd even
Did ya?
her to knock on my window. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'd already had enough. It was just I didn't have an opportunity to get out of
A
it.
reason, a purpose.
Well, it weren't even that. I was homeless. If I would have had somewhere of my own to stay, I would have done it.
Yeah.
But I didn't have anywhere I didn't have anyone giving me that opportunity. And obviously, the only place that I wanted to be was at home.
Yeah.
Where I'd had a home for the last few years, like I've got kids and stuff. That's where I should be. I shouldn't be sat in this house
In
with
here,
a chicken
yeah.
picker,
Yeah.
like tickling my nose with her hair. Like, that's not where I planned on being. You know?
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming from how my life had turned out. So
Yeah.
it was. I think that day that she come and not her herself, but a lady come and knocked on the window, and that was the calling card for me. That was
Yeah.
God's gift, I think.
God's gift.
You are God's gift.
Oh, thanks.
So I'll ask this to you individually. So if there's Carla, what would you, if there's anyone out there listening that are in similar positions to what you are in, or have been in, or was in, should I say, what bit of advice would you give to someone?
Definitely try and surround yourself with. So I closed myself off, which is probably one of the worst.
Isolated
Yeah,
yourself.
completely isolated myself. I thought that I could fix everything with a magic wand. So, yeah, I think for anyone that was in my sort of position, just take a step back and maybe try and get some support for yourself. Because nobody really can change anybody, I don't think.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's such a hard one, because I feel like.
No, but what you said I think is right, because nobody can change anyone. Like that
No.
individual's got to be willing and want to change themselves.
Yeah, and in the end, I think the only reason that you did end up having enough during that period of time is because obviously things went wrong, and rather than me keep trying to save, in the end it was like, just go and get it all out of your system,
Yeah.
and then I'll still be here for you when you're ready to get it out of your system, which I think is sometimes all you can do. Obviously during that time, maybe offer a bit of support and see if that person's ready yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, make sure you look after yourself as well and don't bottle everything up. And yeah, try and access as much support as you can.
What about you, Carl? What
Exactly
advice
the
would you give a younger?
Exactly
person?
the same. Like the difference, like this day and age, but back in the day, nobody spoke. No one spoke out. No one asked for help. No one asked for support.
Yeah.
But now, as time's gone on, we're in that era now where people are starting to ask for
A lot
help.
more open.
A lot of people are now phoning up the doctors saying that they're not feeling
Mental
well,
health.
they're mentally ill, we might need some depressants. Even
Yeah.
kids are starting to do it.
Yeah.
So that is a benefit now.
Do you
to
not
this
think
day and
that
age.
it's gone a bit too far, though? And there's a lot of people out there that use it as an excuse.
I do think so.
I think there is,
I think a
yeah.
lot of people get this idea in their head that you can go to the doctors, you can have, say, you can get prescribed some medication, and that will fix everything. But you
Yeah.
have to do so much
It's got to come from
work.
within.
Yeah, and
It
you and I think a lot of us get stuck in a set way of something. But actually, you really need to open up
Yeah.
and start to try and do things differently, see things. You've really got to help yourself. Like you've got to learn different methods and work on. Nobody can fix you. You've kind of got to take that crutch, say, from the medication, but really knuckle down and work on yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
It's about, you've got to find out what the actual issue is.
Yeah.
So
what are you working on?
What is the issue? So
Yeah.
you can pinpoint what that issue is. Right, let's find a source of service that can help me with that issue.
What's the solution?
So the solution. So then you've got this medication. You can take this medication to keep you on that balance, and it's there as a safety net whilst you're talking about it.
Then there's the aftercare, though, isn't there? There's the time after you've got the medication, you're doing this, you're doing that. Then it's the looking after yourself afterwards.
This is another reason why we feel like the TikTok's a really good thing, because a lot of the time you might want to hear somebody that's been in a similar position as yourself, and then what ways they've worked around it. But then say you heard somebody and you thought, oh no, that don't sound like something I could do. There could be another person where you hear their story and you think they've had a different way out of it. So then you can hear them. So the more people, that's why, like we've always said, social media can be so negative but can also be so positive. So
it depends how you're taking it in and what you're looking at and what you're consuming.
We could be sat on lives and someone could come out with something and they really need some help, and even if we don't know what they're talking about, one of us will be sat back while the other one's still talking, and we'll be on Google. Where is it you say you're from? Let's say Norwich, for example. Oh, what, you're from Norwich? Oh, okay.
I'll see what's in that area.
We sit back and it's like, right, we've just messaged you a link. Go onto that link and see what they can do. So that's the stuff that we're doing for people. At least people, because this is where you've got to take a lot out of people actually reaching out. And not only are they reaching out and they're not doing it privately, they're doing it on a platform in front of probably 200 people that are on our lives watching, and they're saying they're struggling. It takes a lot for somebody to do that.
Because that is a public forum, essentially. Even though you're behind the keyboard, you're still
massive. Your name's still there.
You
still go on your profile. We can still see
your
pictures of you
face,
doing TikTok videos and stuff, so we know who you are. You know, some of them might be like unknown and stuff like that, but there's still quite a lot of people that are coming on and they're saying this. They're saying that they're struggling. We've been having it for the last couple of days. We have so many people that come on because we talk about this stuff like we're talking about today regularly. Like if she's been on down, you know, the anxiety video that she did.
And then it was the other way round.
People was then supporting her. Oh, lovely, you're doing well. Like you're great, mum. Like so, then they're putting the comments into Carla now. Like we've been doing it to them on live. So it's beneficial. It's a beneficial thing. So the only thing that I can say is reach out, get the support, find out what your problem is, balance yourself, keep it as maintenance. So maintain yourself, and then once you've gone past that element of where you've now begin to sort your issue out, then you can start slowly reducing off your medication because you won't really need it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So the thing is, when you take medication's there as you think it's a blocker, and now you're on that medication, you're not going to have to think about that no more. No, it's there. It's not supposed to be there as a full-time thing. Depending off if you have serious mental health problems.
It depends where.
Exactly.
Where
like if you've got bipolar, you're probably going to be on medication
for
the rest of your life. But if you've got like depression because of something that might have happened in your past,
trauma,
etc., these traumas can be dealt with. PTS and PTSD, they're all limited to different things. PTSD is something that ends up in a disorder because it's something that happened a long time ago. Post-traumatic stress is something that's recent. So deal with the stuff that's happened a long time ago and then deal with the recent. Because then you'll notice you'll be able to mellow yourself out from that because you'll go through it. And it works in a timeline. Go back to your first.
That's all I did. I had to go back when I wanted to get better, so to say. I had to go back and unbox things that I didn't want to fucking address and I didn't really want to talk about, but I knew that was the root cause of why I was now experiencing these things 25 years later. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that takes you've got to be brave to do that as
well. That's horrible.
Like you say, you bottle it all up, but that's to protect yourself because you know that once you start going deep into it, you're going to bring all this stuff up that's going to make you probably cry, make you emotional. You know, it might make you angry. It's going to bring all these feelings up that sometimes you think it's easy to just shut it all off.
But it's not, is it?
No, because it will eventually come out, but it might just eat away at you.
I think it's harder to keep it all boxed up for a period of time, isn't it?
Eventually it just explodes.
And living like it. It's like shaking a bottle of Coke, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
The minute you undo it.
Yeah, exactly.
This is where drugs come into it.
Yeah.
And this is why I say, like, you know, like addictive personalities, you've got all this and stuff, bum, 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 but you find that one thing that you can crutch on.
That stops you.
It's not your personality that gets addicted to that. It's because of all that shit you've been through.
Yeah.
Now you're not thinking about it anymore.
Yeah.
So
you want the escape. You're reaching for that escape.
But then it comes back.
It comes back. The minute that you stop, you have part of your brain hippocampus, if anyone wants to know what it is. You have a part of your brain that's like a filing cabinet, and that will file all your memories. All right. So the minute that you stop taking drugs to block out the memories, all of them memories start coming flooding back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Hence the reason why most people relapse off of that.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
So this is where then obviously the support services come into play. This is why I'm saying the support services are really important. You don't have to have a drug problem for this.
Yeah.
People can be going through these mental health issues or these traumas without having a drug problem or an alcohol problem.
Yeah.
But taking a note from that, any of these memories that pop up, write them memories down so you don't forget which one that is, because then when you go and get support from someone, you can name exactly what they are.
Yeah.
Then you can look at that problem and you can try and resolve it.
Yeah. I like it, mate. Honestly, I think you've actually surprised me today.
Have I really?
You have. Yeah, no, you have. Because I watched a few of your videos before you come down. Obviously, didn't know like about the youth project thing you're doing, and I just think that's amazing, mate. I'd love to do something like that myself. Aside from my business stuff that I do, I'd really love to help other apprentices and like younger people get them to college, get them doing something, get them away from the streets, away from that bullshit that doesn't give you nothing back.
Nope.
All it does is rape you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's all it ever done to me, and it's all it's ever done to people that I know.
Yeah.
So like, I helped my little brother, like he's my half brother, step brother, whatever you want to call it. He was living in Hitchin a couple of years ago now, and he was getting involved with the wrong sorts of people, getting bullied by older guys that were like...
Where's Hitchin?
Hitchin in Hertfordshire.
Hertfordshire, yeah. I did a talk in a college up there.
Did you?
Hitchin College campus.
Yeah, that's where he got kicked out. He lives up here now. But
yeah, I've got a documentary on YouTube, a trailer. I did a talk there at that college. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Well, he was there, and he was getting involved with wrong people. He was doing bits for older kids, older boys, as you do. And they dragged him into a crack house one day and threatened to stab him and his mate with 2 heroin needles.
Wow.
And he was only 15 at the time. And I was like, when he told me about this happening, I was like, mate, I need to get you out of there. I was like, because if you stay there, and he's not a leader, he's a nice boy, but he's easily led. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? He ain't a leader. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, I need to get you out of that. Come over here, come and live with me. I'll get you in college, get you in your bricklaying. And he's working for me now. Got his own little caravan.
Just giving him that opportunity.
He's away from the drugs. He's away from them bad people that were dragging him down and putting him in them situations. And he will be a really good, successful young man.
Oh,
do you know what I mean?
Nice to hear that.
I had to do that for him because there was no way that I was going to see him go down the path that I did, or even a worse path than I did. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and sometimes all them young people need is just that one person.
That's all he wanted. You know what I mean? And like his mum's got other kids, and like she weren't able to put her full focus onto him because he was like 15. She's got 3 younger kids, so it was like I had to do that for him. I was like, look, I'm going to do this for you. You are going to fucking accept my offer, because at first he didn't. He was like, oh, I don't want to leave my mates. I'm like, mate, they're not going to be your friends in 10 years, 5 years, 2 years even. Do you know what I mean? And look, he's been down here 18 months now, and not one of them friends has even fucking phoned him. See how he is.
Oh, yeah.
But that's what it's like. You know that. I know that. You grow up.
You don't know that when you're young.
No, you don't. But if you did, fuck me, how much easier would decision
yeah.
making be?
Yeah.
You wouldn't feel this allegiance to certain people because you know really they're not going to be there in 12 months' time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But now he's been here for nearly 2 years, and he sat back and we had a conversation on it last week. And he was like, I'm so glad I listened to you. And I was like, mate, I'm glad you fucking listened to me as well. Because he didn't at first. And that's what makes me feel good, is that, in 20, 30, 40 years' time, he'll look back and be like, you know what, my brother saved my life.
Yeah,
I didn't have to do it. I could have just let him crack on making mistakes like I did. Do you know what I mean? No one pulled me out of the shit. I pulled myself out of it.
My parents used to be like, well, you'll learn.
Yeah.
Go out there, you make them mistakes, you'll fucking learn.
You'll learn.
So just leave you to it. But I didn't want to learn by them mistakes. Some of them I made, do you know what I mean? Like, them mistakes nearly got me killed.
Yeah.
So it's just like, if you can save somebody from that, because like what you've done for your brother, you have saved his life.
Yeah.
That could have been 10 times worse.
Mate, that could have happened. That could have ended in many different ways. And the sort of shit that he was getting up to, that was only going to end a couple of ways. Do you know what I mean? Prison,
severely hurt.
coffin, hospital, whatever. It was going to be one of them things. Or he's going to end up with a filthy habit one day. Yeah. And he ain't that sort of kid. He smokes a couple of joints and that. But I don't give a shit about that. As long as he's getting up every morning, he's going to graft. He's 18, nearly 19. Do you know what I mean? I weren't doing that.
Saved his life.
Exactly. But that's why I did it. Do you know what I mean? Because I was looking at him thinking, you know what? I can see so much of myself and the start of that road happening right now. Like, I weren't really a follower at his age. I was more a leader, but taking that out of it, like he was getting in the situations that I was in. And I could see where it'd go. For someone like him who was easily impressionable, I could see that it was only going a couple of ways for him. Do you know what I mean? I was headstrong enough to pull myself out of it, make my own decisions to get away from people and cut myself off. He weren't able to do that.
No.
Do you know what I mean? So I think, you know, did you find that easy to do? Cut yourself off from people?
No.
No?
It weren't that easy. Like, even as a teenager to an adult, I've been through it twice.
Yeah.
So I've done it when the drugs thing.
Yeah.
I had to do that, didn't I? And then I had to do it young as well.
Yeah.
But at the point of being young, I was in and out of jail all the time.
Yeah.
So like 8.5 years of my life, I was in and out of jail. So you go in, you come out, you jump back.
Things
in,
change.
You come out, things change. This person's dead, or something's happened, or he's just been shot.
Yeah.
So like that's happened. This has happened.
You never had fucking stability.
No stability whatsoever. But family, there was my family, even though they was fucking wankers. It was like you don't find that out until the end. Like obviously, if he'd have stayed in that, he would have found out in the end.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's too late then.
It's too late by that time. You know?
Luckily, I had the foresight to see the situation
that
he was in.
You've been through it yourself.
Exactly.
So.
And I tried telling him that at the start. I was like, "Listen, mate. I'm not trying to be patronising, but fucking listen to me here.
Yeah.
I've been there not so long ago. I'm not an old man. I'm only fucking mid-30s. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I've literally just come out the other end of it myself. So fucking listen to me."
Yeah.
And he did. You know. So I'm glad he did. But so, what's next for you guys? What's the next 12 months? When we come back and do this again?
We're coming back.
Yeah, definitely. This is what I say to everyone. Because this is just the infancy for me of starting all this.
Yeah.
So everyone that I'm getting on now, I'd love to revisit with you again in 12 months' time and see where you've been and what you've been doing.
Too big for us by then.
Nah, not at all. Wait, listen, I hope you are, mate. Do you know what I mean? With everything that you've got going on, you never know what's going to happen. And I think by the sounds of it, the stuff that you're doing and you want to do and you're aspiring to do is massive. Like, it's probably bigger than anything I'm doing, building houses and all that shit. Like,
definitely. Listen, each to their own of whatever any individual is doing is big to them.
We'd love to be able to build a house,
honestly, it ain't all it's cracked up to be.
It's like, listen, everybody always has something, I wish that I was be able to do that, but I can only do this and I can do that. Listen, each individual is different to the next.
Yeah.
Whatever your achievements are to whatever their achievements are, their achievements to you and their achievements to us. So not everybody has them same achievements.
It's all relative to you, isn't
it? So how we're doing it, I want the project, our project, and I want it to flourish, and I want it to go really far, and I want it to.
You want to change people's lives.
I want to help a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And obviously the things like for my admin here. coming to all my meetings with me and selling points.
I called my wife my PA the other week in front of someone, and she went absolutely mental.
She's actually called herself my bloody PA.
Yeah, she has as well, and I done it out of jest. I said, "Oh no, my PA." She fucking looked at me. She's like, "I'm not your fucking PA."
Yeah, then you turn around and say, "But you said that the other week."
No, I fucking did it. You last week. She said, "No, I fucking didn't." I'm like, "You fucking did."
It's all right if we refer to ourselves as it is.
Yeah, but not in public.
Yeah, so you just have to go my
better half. I now call her my better half.
Yeah.
My better half.
But obviously going into meetings with each other, selling the project. So standing there, business strategy, marketing strategy. What's better about your company to that company?
Yeah,
we can stand there and go,
there you go.
This is what that company is.
Yeah.
And we can do it as a duo. Like I say, anything that comes about for us now, and I've been saying it to everybody, even with other podcasts that I do. I mean, admittedly, when we went to the Knightsbridge one, wasn't set up for double podcasting, so I was confused in that. I thought it was for the both of us, but she wanted me on. She didn't have that much, but when they have got that part where they do couples, we're going back. So it's not Cole Scott on his own anymore. Like I've been and done all that. I've done my other big podcasts on my own, and I've done this and I've done that. Now she's coming with me. Yeah. So it's like as much as I've got a story, so is she. Yeah. And like behind.
That's the other side of yours, isn't it?
Yeah,
really?
yeah, exactly. She's been through quite a lot with me. Yeah, I might have all that stuff that I can talk about. That's a selling point for people that want to watch podcasts of the gangs, the crimes, the knife crime, the gang,
and want to learn,
the prison life. A lot of people thrive off listening to stories like that, but there's more to a backstory that's behind it.
And you know what it is as well? It's always like. Always just, this is one of my biggest problems in the whole time when everything was going on with us, is that there's so much support out there for the person that's got the
experiencing it, not for the person that's helping them deal with it.
Not the family members. There was nothing, and it was such a lonely. It was a really, really lonely place, and it.
Because no one else can understand how you're feeling. No one really probably cares.
No, whereas if you'd have put me with a load of other partners in a room together, or not necessarily just partners, people you know, you could have a mum and a son where the son's got an addiction and the mum's having to go through it, but there's nothing for that. And that was one of the reasons as well why we set up the social media, wasn't it? Because it's you've
That's
kind of
really
got
good.
both
Is
sides.
there nothing out there for?
There wasn't, no.
No.
So
Such a good.
one
I
thing,
don't know if there is in different areas.
what we're looking at offering now, which I know no one's doing, is, so I'm a qualified drugs worker, right? And obviously she is personally qualified in herself for being what she's been through with me. Not only with myself,
Lived
but
experience.
her own mental health issues as well.
Yeah.
So where we have so many people coming on our page, I've got loads of work packs that I've put together myself. I've been in the game for a long time.
Yeah.
We've put it out on offer now because we have so many people that come on that have been struggling to get off drugs or alcohol, or they'll message and they're like, if I'm watching your video or listening to you on live, I'm now 4 days clean. Like, I want to do live one-to-one support sessions for 20 minutes with my viewers that are coming on if they're comfortable in doing so.
Yeah.
So if you're comfortable, you don't even have to show your face.
Yeah.
You can come on. I'll do a session with you. Just make sure you got a pen and bit of paper.
Yeah.
I'll have the paperwork in front of me. We'll read off some relapse prevention, some coping strategies, stress strategies, triggers, cravings. I'll do all that on live
And see
with
what's
you.
in their area as
See
well.
what's in their area. Then for the support, then Carla can come in. She helps with that bit, and that no one's doing that on TikTok. No one. I'll be doing it. We'll be doing it. We'll be covering loads of different stuff on TikTok that no one's even doing. And we're not doing that for us. We're doing that for them. I'm just sitting there at my own time, sitting there. I do this for a day job. So if I'm trying to get something out of it, I've just done 6 hours of it at work where I've probably had paid.
Yeah.
So now I'm coming at home where I should be like winding
Chilling.
down now, chilling.
But you're
having
not.
my dinner. I'm not. Then I'm going on a live at 8:30.
Yeah,
I'm going to be helping. We're going to be helping and supporting other people.
This is another reason why we wanted to set up the project, because then if he sets up the project, obviously his contract ends with that in 2 months
May,
now.
yeah,
isn't
May
it?
the
Yeah,
31st.
so then if we have the project with all the youth, he can go and do that, all of that sort of stuff in the day, and then he can still have that link with all the drug and alcohol stuff that he can do a lot of
I think that's a good idea. I
bit of
think
everything.
even if you were to go down the route of having maybe like another branch of your website, I've been thinking about it as we've been sitting here talking, and having like a
The
subscription.
entrepreneur in you now.
Yeah, no, like a subscription part of it where people can pay you like, I don't know, $5.99 a month, and you can have like bonus content for them to site. No one else, like this content wouldn't be available anywhere else on the internet. It'd only be on your subscription site. They have to pay $5.99 a month for. But you could do modules. You could do like, you could be filming yourself, and you could be like, this is my 30 step system to the road to recovery. Then you could film 30 videos on like the start of how you're feeling right at the start when you want to get off drugs, to the end, and that could be like an hour's worth each video that people have to sign up to your subscription site to get access to. Then that's evergreen. People are paying. I know it seems like small potatoes money wise, but just imagine you got 10,000 or 1,000 people paying $5.99 per month on your subscription site.
It's a lot of money, isn't it?
It's not that it's all about financial gain, but you know,
We'd
you
probably
can't.
charge him a pound.
Hey, listen, no, but what I'm saying is you can't do everything for free all the time.
No.
Do you know what I mean? You've got to think of a way that, like, you know, you can build your brand, know, like, trust. People know, like, and trust you because your experiences and the sort of person you are. You've got to monetize it. You can't do it all for free sometimes. You can't do everything for nothing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do agree to a certain extent with you, but then on the other side of it, just the other side, if we're looking at the fact of people that are going to be needing that, they ain't going to have no $5.99 to be paying that price.
No, they might not be, but the other people that are still there will be people that will want it and still pay for it.
Yeah, there will be.
And
people.
you got to think, when you're online, it's global. It's
I
not
know
just
I'd pay for it
localized.
for
Massive,
him
mate,
at
we're
the
in
time.
Australia and everything.
That's what I'm saying. So even like the people that are not going to be able to get to you one-to-one, and you're not going to be able to help one-to-one, who might be in China or fucking America, different time zones, you could still be helping them with your content on this subscription site.
Yeah, I suppose.
Do you get me? I'm not saying you're doing it for financial gain. I'm just saying you're silly not to do something else like that, where you could be tapping into loads of people and not just being localised or not just being in the UK. I mean, you already said you're in Australia.
Yeah.
I'd be doing all sorts if I were you. That's what I'm thinking about doing. You know, not just about property and business, but a subscription site people can pay $5 a month for. I mean, fuck me, how many things do you waste a $5 on every month?
Easily.
Oh, Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
I could write a list.
Yeah, I pay £6 just for storage for photos because I can't be bothered to put them on a pen.
There you go. So that's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is there's the people that will pay $4.99, $5.99 a month will pay it, forget about it, and keep paying it. So you're earning money.
Yeah, it enables you to do more things, as well, doesn't it?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
And I'd like to do that. I can do modules. I've set up a module before.
that's what I would do,
Like,
mate. Well, if I were you, I'd think about that as a little bolt on to your website, or maybe even a separate website where it is just a subscription site for bonus content created by you both, where people can subscribe and get exclusive
How much
content.
commission do you want for the idea?
Nothing. Wait, listen,
I'm joking.
fucking
I'm
people
joking.
are doing it all over the place.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a good idea.
listen,
We could put on the website as seen on the TV.
on the T-Hut.
Yeah.
But no, but look, there's another podcast, I can't remember the name of it, but basically all these guys talk about is 3 guys, and all they talk about is football matches from like the 30s, 40s and 50s.
Really?
Yeah, like decades ago. These matches happened years ago, right?
How can they remember?
Well, no, but they've obviously watched it, listened to it, researched it all, and they talk about it. They're football buffs, right? But they're just normal blokes. But they've got a subscription site as well, and they've got, I think it was, can't remember the exact figure, but there's about 9,000 people that sign up and pay $6.99 a month to listen to bonus content of them talking about football matches that happened 50 years ago.
Wow.
So there's people out there. What I'm trying to say is, it's like you're silly if you're not doing it.
And also, then I suppose that if only people that would subscribe would be people that could afford it, and then that would also mean that then we'd have some sort of money which potentially we could then
scale up.
Yeah, scale up.
I mean?
And then, and also then
do other things in the community with. And those people that are paying that $5.99 a month, they're not going to be sitting there trolling you.
No.
They want to be paying. They want to be in your team or in your club where they're getting that exclusive content that no one else is seeing.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, something to think about.
Yeah, no, that's a really good idea.
Because it's niching down your market even more. Like, you've got a following on TikTok or wherever you're doing your social medias, but then you're funneling that down into like your subscription site, where your real followers, the people that really engage with you and like you, will support you and pay the $5.99 a month because they like you and they support you. Yeah. And the people that are just trolling are going to just jump on the videos on TikTok, fuck you, and piss off. But the people that want to be there for every video and engage with you all the time, they will pay £5 a month to get bonus content that no one else is going to see because they like you.
Yeah.
No like trust. They like you. They know you because they've watched you on Facebook. They like you on TikTok and they like what you're doing and they trust you, so they're going to pay £5 a month to get bonus shit. Idea. Trust me. Like, you could get 1,000 people paying $5.
Get right in, babe.
But listen, but it's five. Just imagine, break it down in your head and think, well, okay, do you think you could get 500 or 1,000 people to like your stuff?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Right, so if over 6 to 12 months you build up a bank of 5,000 people through your subscription site paying £5 a month, that's $5,000 a month in your bank.
Yeah, definitely.
Doing something you love that don't take a lot of time because the content you've already built and put on that subscription site has been done months ago. It's evergreen.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It's not something that you have to keep updating. It's something that is evergreen all the time. So people can sign up in January 2022, 23, 24, but it's the same content that it was 2 years ago. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's not available anywhere else.
Yeah.
You have to come up with a specific module or a specific,
It's already there.
Exactly.
Especially if it's stuff that's life-changing that could really change somebody's life.
Yeah, but niche it down and deliver it in such a way on your subscription site that it isn't available anywhere else. Drop teasers everywhere on your social media going, if you want the bonus content to this, if you really want to get me as a mentor, but you can't, £5 a month is all it costs you.
And then I suppose we could have little conversations on our lives and say, because
what most people do,
for a little while.
What most people do is they'll have different entry levels. They'll have 3 tiers. So you'll have A, B, or C. So A would be like low entry, £5 a month. All you get is the bonus content. But if you want to pay $8.99 a month, then you get a one-on-one Zoom call with us and the rest of the community. But if you want to pay £15 a month, then you get 2 one-on-one Zoom calls with just me and you. So it's a real personal thing for £15 a month.
Really good idea.
Yeah, so you've got 3 entry levels. So some people might want to pay the £5, some people want 15. But then you've got tiers for each. Mate, I really think with what you're doing, and already with your youth project idea, I think you could, and your TikTok following that you're slowly building, I really do think you could make some money out of that. Massive money.
Imagine.
Seriously though, and it don't really cost a lot to set up. It costs time. All right, and you might have to get like people with the video equipment to come and do your filming and all that. But people like that anyway. I've got, I've got a load of my own shit that over time I've bought. So, but I think,
build it up slowly.
Honestly, I think it's a good idea for you both. Something you should both think about.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I just think it's another string. It's another string to your bow. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it funnels, like, everything you're doing is great. But like someone said to me the other week, and it really made me think. He was like, "I love what you're doing. Your podcast, your lives on Facebook. You're doing this. You're doing that. Your property events that you're doing. But what's the end funnel? Where does that? You're getting all these people in all on your thing, and you're saying it's. Where does it go? Where does it go? Yeah,
eventually it evaporates. That's what happened with you.
That's what I'm saying.
He quit his job before, he ended up having to go back to work because he wasn't earning any money.
Yeah.
So as much as you want to help as many people as you possibly can.
You need something else that you'll give, a product or a service that you're giving exclusively to people that are paying for it on a monthly basis. And the online creator economy is the thing at the moment. You guys know that. So maybe something to think about.
Yeah, Yeah.
Trust me, because that's what I'm going to be doing with my little thing, a subscription site, exclusive content to people. People feel like they're getting the bonuses. Definitely, so we've just waffled. Right,
I feel like this is an entrepreneur podcast
no,
now.
it is. That's what it's all about.
We'll go home and we'll be like, bloody hell, he's a clever bloke.
No, like, what I want to know is when we get into the biscuits.
Well, yeah. Well, listen, because we've been going on.
Wait, we need to ask you a question. What is your favourite biscuit?
Fuck me, I've got a lot. I think it depends. It depends really. It depends whose biscuit tin I'm looking in.
Do you like these?
Go on, what have you got? You got your camera there, so you've got
these ones,
butter biscuits, which are like
biscuits.
chocolate Leibniz things,
Yeah, but they're like the cheap version from Aldi.
they taste the same.
What's the story behind?
Go on.
Oh, there is a little story behind it. Yeah, so I used to eat these at my gran's. Oh. My gran was such a feeder. Like, she would constantly... she would force you in that biscuit. And even after you'd had, like, half the pack, she'd be like, finish it off. Yeah, I've got another one up there.
Do you want a sandwich?
Yeah, that was my gran all over.
Cup of tea?
To the point where my mum and dad cursed her once, because then when we was younger, they brought the dogs over. She was sneakily feeding them on the sly.
Really?
Yeah, and they were saying, don't do that, gran, because they can't have that. And
no chocolate.
Yeah, and then when we got home, the dogs were sick everywhere. And then it's because my gran. But so I used to have them at hers, and I'd forgotten all about them. And a couple of days ago, wasn't it? He come home and he said, "Oh, look, I got you some of these." And I was like, "Oh, they're my favourite." But I wasn't hungry that night anyway, so I put them away, hidden from our son, didn't we? Put them upstairs. And then when we knew he was coming on here, and he said, "Oh, you've got to bring some biscuits," I thought, right, I know what I'm bringing.
I'm eating them on the way home. And I love them. They're really nice.
So you do like these?
I love them.
Are they your favourite?
I wouldn't say they're my favourite, but I do really like them. I do really like. Do you like the dark chocolate ones or the milk?
Not the dark, no.
Yeah.
Definitely the milk.
Yeah.
What about you?
See, I prefer the milk, definitely.
Oh, yeah. Do you eat the dark?
I'd eat them. Yeah, I'm a bit like, I'm not really a fan of dark chocolate, but I want to. If it's there, I'll eat it.
If it's a biscuit, you'll have it anyway. To be fair, I probably would.
You would. If it was the only one there, you would. But no, they're really nice, and I like them. What you got there?
So I've got hobnobs.
Oh, you got the
I like that little
like
Aldi
them.
version.
Yeah,
the cheaper version, but they taste the same.
They taste exactly the same.
But everyone, like people, you can ask people on our lives on TikTok, what biscuits does Carl eat? And I'm always eating hobnobs.
In bed. He eats them in bed.
Oh,
she's
crumbs
like,
everywhere.
Crumbs everywhere, and I'm like,
It's on my side.
I
love both of them. They're a good one because they're good dunkers, aren't they?
Yeah,
really good.
Says that.
He does it. The fucking Marine in the biscuit world or something, didn't he? Yeah. It's true though, isn't it? Yeah. I like loads of biscuits. As you can tell, I'm a big guy. You get a biscuit tin out around me, then the chances are the good ones are going fast. But I like both of them. They're really nice. There's a particular way that I actually eat those.
What, these? Do you bite the chocolate off around the outside?
Yeah. Does everyone do that?
I think so.
Yeah, you got to.
Do you eat these?
Only when your gran used to force me, though.
It's sort of like teasing yourself, and it's like, I'll have that little bit first.
It's because it hangs over a little bit, and it's
it
just
needs
that
to go.
extra naughty bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the machine gave you an extra little bit over there, so you nibble it off first.
Well, I like that. So thanks, guys, for coming in today. It's been really, really good getting to know you both.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Thank you for sharing your stories with me and my listeners. So if anyone wants to know how to get in contact with you and how they can find you, how can they do that?
I might get it wrong.
Go on. What's your website? What's your social handles?
So the website's projectyouth.co.uk.
Yeah.
My TikTok. I always say my.
It's too used to
This is new. This is 2 months old.
Yeah.
But the TikTok's Two's a Duo official. So two spelt like TWO.
Yeah.
Two's a Duo official. Instagram Two's a Duo. We don't even bother with Facebook because we probably won't even accept you on there. So Facebook's just one of them. You get people coming through.
Mainly
and it's
just for family.
Just family on Facebook.
Yeah.
But Instagram and TikTok are the ones that we use. So Two's a Duo on Instagram. Two's a Duo official on TikTok.
Cool. Sweet. So if anyone wants to get hold of you, they can on there. And I just want to wish you both luck with the Project Youth
Thank you.
that you're doing. I've got a feeling you'll smash it anyway, and hopefully I've given you a little bit of a golden nugget to take away today.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming down. I really appreciate it.
Nice one, mate.
Cheers, guys.
The Tea Hut, proudly brought to you by eGrowth Media.